Welcome to the Janky-B-Cast. In this dumb podcast, I task two friends to review a game and film respectively. The trick? They need to figure out what connects the two. I hope you enjoy watching us make terrible jokes along the way. Hello and welcome to the Janky-B-Cast. Today is the anniversary of Shaun of the Dead.
Yee! Sorry, yeah.
Hey!
Yay! Fuck a doodle do.
But I mean, I'm doing a new intro for this episode because I realised after the first 4 episodes, which is a point, the first 4 episodes have gone live. The podcast is now live. It is up, and we're doing stuff with it, as you can tell by the way that I'm so excited in my voice.
He's grinning ear to ear.
No, basically, I realised that my chair has a very audible creak in all of the intros. So I'm like, hello and welcome to the Janky-B-Cast. With the chair just awkwardly in the background. Because I just forgot to get rid of any of that kind of thing. Because I'm an idiot.
Could be like a special guest on the show.
It's Mr. Chair.
Featuring Foley, Sam, and Chair.
And then it's
One
like
you've all
the
been waiting for. Chair.
I was just thinking it's like one of those terrible American sitcoms, like, and chair. And it's just, because obviously it's always got that thing of people turn into the camera and the chair just turns. So someone just hand in the corner of the screen is just pushing it to turn because it's just a swivel chair.
I think it swivels and it just doesn't stop because it's just a chair. So it just keeps on turning.
It just keeps going. It just keeps on going. Now, just got to get this out of the way. As a form of like kind of a service announcement, it's less of a service, more just a announcement for us and just for anybody who's potentially, listening and wants to give suggestions. This is on the balance of films and games that I will accept, essentially. I don't want to just give Sam and Foley what I would call schlocky dime-a-dozen bullshit.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's funny to just give Sam and Foley something that's just truly awful and terrible. But I don't think that's completely fair on them.
And that's why Oblivion's not going to be on the list.
How dare you? I was playing that earlier. Genuinely, I was playing that earlier and Foley just sort of like joined the call. I didn't hear him join and he just sort of went, hello, and it scared the shit out of me. Like, genuinely, my character looked up to the sky and I was like, 9 Divines, is that you? Stender? I was going to say, that's a joke that's just going to fly over Foley's head, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't get any of this.
That's fine.
You can probably be oblivious to me.
You have to deal with this.
It's got to at least look interesting, though. It can't. I don't want it to be just like something where you would go into a shop and you'd see just 5 films that are all different titles but are basically the same movie. If it's so bad it's great, that might be considered, but a lot of the time that's very subjective. So, next up, something I want to discuss is the 3 of us and my partner all went to a board game cafe recently.
That's true, yeah.
I love how you all say that was true, as if it's something I would lie about. Like,
Well, you can't be too careful with you.
you can't. Wow. Okay. The 2 things of note that I've got written down from that is I had to witness Sam try and saw a straw in half from McDonald's with half of a paper spoon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know what? It didn't work, yeah.
It didn't work. Unsurprisingly, it did not work.
I think that shocked us all, to be honest. I think we were good. But...
Yeah.
I mean, it was a paper straw. You could have just ripped the top bit off of your hands.
Yeah.
Well,
And it wouldn't have been a smooth cut like it would be if I sawed it with a paper spoon.
it wouldn't be as entertaining to watch, to be honest.
The other thing I want to mention is just the single phrase, bones at the door.
Oh,
This is when we were playing a game called Scrawl, and I realised this isn't going to be an interesting one to go all the way round. So I decided I'm going to make this ridiculous and put the phrase as bones at the door instead of skeletons in the closet, which is what it was.
I mean, the picture that came afterwards was just brilliant. Just
a row of bones. The final thing I have is Sam wishes to amend 1 or 2 of his scores.
Oh, okay.
I think I put Foley, you can as well, but I have a feeling you're not going to rate Cobra any higher. And give it 15 out of 15.
I tend to be way too generous when I first started doing this sort of scoring system, and then
Yeah.
it ends up just shoving all my scores to the top because they have to beat the previous ones because they're better.
Cool,
If
so
they're
which
worse,
one would
it's
you like to
fine.
amend first?
All right, so Fairy Tale Adventure is going to go chronologically.
Okay.
Fairy Tale Adventure, I gave it some benefit of the doubt because of its age. I'm going to drop that down. So previously it was 2 for story. I've changed that to a 1. And it was 3 for design, changed that to a 2. And I've left gameplay as 2. So now instead of 2, 2, 3, it's 1, 2, 2.
So that is a 5, yeah.
Doom, I've dropped it down to 1, 1, 0. No, I haven't. I've left it as is. Which
Fucking
was
hell.
1, 3, 3.
I was going to say, oh my God, you're going to get murdered. Wow.
Yeah, MGS, I've left it as is, which was 4, 3, 4.
Yep.
The Bard's Tale, I've dropped the gameplay down from a 4 because that was a bit far too generous. Put it as a 3, which I'm calling adequate.
Cool. So that means that the biggest change is making Fairy Tale Adventure from a 7 to 5, and a Bard's Tale from an 11 to a 10, which actually matches what the quest for Camelot was in the end.
Ah.
So that's quite...
Yeah, 2/3 sounds about right for Bard's Tale.
Would you like to amend any of your scores, Foley?
Can I rate Cobra lower?
What would you like to remove from story, design, or well, you can't really remove from character because character was 0.
You can always go lower.
I want to remove the film from existence.
Wow. The funniest part to me is I don't even think that this film is that bad. I think it's like fairly average, mediocre action film. Honestly, I'm so gutted that the audio isn't as good on episode 3 because that means we don't have a terrible reading of that amazing review in a higher quality audio.
Is that the Russian one?
That's the one that's like, good for your eyes.
Yeah.
I want him to write.
I was saying in the Russia, it's about this movie.
I want him to.
Wow.
If there's a remake of Cobra, I want that guy to write it.
Yeah.
Don't think you want that.
I love how you just went to the gym after the review, and it's such a great, uplifting review of film.
Just say like, no, I'm going to go to the gym. Bye, and it's like, okay. Anyway, let's not dwell on the past, and now look forward to the present. Did you want any of those changed, Foley? Or are you happy as they are?
I'm happy where they are.
That's fine. Cool. Now I'm changing the formula slightly. Please, take it away, Sam.
Take what away?
You're the one starting the review first.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh.
What was the game that you were playing?
So the game that I was playing was Heaven's It was Heaven's Vault.
Yep.
Which I've been struggling every single bloody time I've either said or thought it for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Trying to say some other thing, which like I haven't heard Heaven's Gate all that often. Like I barely know anything about it. I don't know why. It's bizarre.
I literally, when I told you to play this game, the first thing you did was say that out loud without meaning to.
It was Google the wrong thing.
Because you Googled it and was like, that doesn't sound like a game.
No.
I'm not sure why I've...
So there you go, yeah.
So...
And that's my review.
Yeah, go for it.
So, Heaven's Vault is a game which is set in the Nebula. So the Nebula is... It's kind of like space, but also not. It's much smaller than space, if that helps. It's effectively a big cluster, big gathering of moons. Some are small, some are large, and they're all floating in the nebula, and they're connected by rivers, which are kind of levitating rivers of water, light, and oxygen, which spring forth from certain moons and go to other moons, go around, sort of crisscross, join into each other, that sort of thing. The stronger the wellspring, which is where the rivers spring out of, on a moon is, the wetter, the more livable it is, and typically the more rich it is, but not always. Ones without water just tend to dry up and turn into desolate desert hellscapes, and ones with tend to get lots of vegetation and lushness in various ways. So you play as Aliyah, who is an archaeologist. She's working for the University of Iox, which is quite a wealthy and powerful moon in comparison to the rest of them. And Iox is the former seat of at least one fallen empire, possibly 2 or 3.
Who can say?
It's uncertain. There's definitely more than one empire that's been around. I think one of them at least was definitely not on Iox, but hey.
We found a brick from one of these ancient empires. maybe we'll find another. Or
It has
it could be
writing
from
on it.
another ancient empire that just threw this brick at somebody. We don't know. All we have is the
Carried
brick.
by the rivers.
The brick came from the river.
Yeah. So, at least one, if not more, of these ancient empires used a certain written language, which is just typically referred to as ancient. And it seems like pretty much everyone used to write using that. I presume people write these days using a different language, but I haven't seen any examples of that. And it seems like back in the day, everyone just loved writing on anything and everything they had. Engraving, carving. You got a knife? Let's just write something on that. You got some bricks? Let's write on that. You got some clothing? Let's embroider some writing on that. So as a linguist and archaeologist, Aaliyah's pretty happy with that. Yeah,
But yes,
there
I
you
can
go.
imagine that would make it so much easier. Just to write knife on a knife and be there like, well, that gets rid of any shadow of a doubt of what this
Well,
is.
they typically put things more esoteric, like, I don't know, knife god bless me or some bullshit. If there is a knife god, that sort of thing.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop interrupting and continue that. That's weird.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, throughout the game, you decipher a bunch of languages and you find artifacts, ruins, and you effectively discover the truth behind various historical events, some of which have been lost to history, some of which have been misrepresented or misunderstood. And you kind of figure out why the nebula is what it is, this big floating mess of rivers and moons, which is quite neat. So there's kind of two main styles of gameplay. You go on foot, and you travel around on a ship that sails the rivers of the nebula. So when you're sailing, you're in Aaliyah's ship, which is the Nightingale, which is a big old ancient ship that she dug up from under the sand. I'm not sure quite how she did that, but hey. And it's got 3 total controls, which are like angle left, angle right, and dash forwards temporarily for a little bit. And that's it.
Steer and nitro.
Yeah. Yep, that's it. So you're sailing along the rivers. If you sail all the way to the edge of the river, you just kind of smush up against it. You can't fall off. In general, it's mostly just a way to relax and enjoy the view. When you go to like intersections in the river, it usually tells you where you're going, both in dialogue and also there's just a big arrow that floats above and turning should take. Except for certain bits where you're in like a zone where you're looking for things, in which case you've got to actually navigate for yourself, which is a bit more interesting, but also still kind of, I hesitate to say tedious, but it's not the most interesting thing. But it looks nice. When you're on foot, however, you walk around slowly. You spam the various dialogue buttons, of which there's 2 for the most part. They're just always there. You got square on the PlayStation controller, and you got circle on the PlayStation controller, which is what I'm going to use. And square is like reply or remark or something, and circle is also remark, but it sometimes has like more negative, like you tell someone to fuck off type thing. But sometimes it doesn't. So there you go. Yeah, so normally the text is written because there's so much dialogue. They didn't voice act it all because it would be ludicrous. But occasionally Aaliyah breaks in with voice acting to narrate a scene or something. I don't know if it's just me, but I just found this pretty annoying, so I ended up muting it. I think it's the style of speech. It's like she puts this emphasis on certain parts of the sentence as it's the most important thing ever. And she's got this English accent, which is irritating.
So you just muted her voice?
But, hey, yeah, I just muted. Yeah. She's the only one speaking, so. I mean, it was just weird having it be text-based, and then suddenly she just speaks and goes.
But there has to be a spark. Something that brings the past to light.
Like that, and it's like, fuck off.
Oh my God.
So, hey, maybe that's on me. I don't know.
I mean, that was only a few seconds, so yeah. Even I wanted to mute
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
It's also that the everything's very like Middle Eastern, kind of Egyptian-y in culture and in style. The main sort of gameplay when you're on foot, for the most part, is just kind of looking around in the environment you're in, interacting with it, inspecting things. You can look at objects, you can talk to people, you can just remark on things that are around, like in the distance, that sort of thing. And the main thing you're doing is talking to people or looking for writing. That writing, it's been scratched, it's been engraved, it's been carved, it's been written on any and every object, surface, item, clothing, anything people get their hands on. You can't trip over a rock without there being ancient words on it. It's ridiculous.
Oh God.
So when you're translating, it's quite fun though. When you're translating, the devs actually wrote their own sort of script language which they said was inspired by ancient Egyptian and Chinese writing systems, which you can tell. You kind of start off knowing a few words and characters, and you learn more as you go along.
Is it one of those you figure it out in the context and go, this probably means this in the context, and there's another context I can try.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and you sort of build up a dictionary, I guess, for yourself, and you build up to larger and larger words as you go along. So because it's like hieroglyphic, the words are usually combinations of smaller words and smaller characters. There's definitely logic to it, which sometimes makes a lot of sense. You can just go, yep, that's exactly what that means. You take the character for I, you take the character for many, and you get us or we. Many I, many
us.
I.
Yeah, many us.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of the time the word's too complex, or you don't understand the rules necessarily for how these have been combined, so you just kind of go with context clues. It's a little bit contrived because you get like per word you get like a choice of 4 or 5 that you can pick from at the bottom, five or so options, and it's like, where the hell is Aaliyah pulling these out of? Why would it be this? Okay, sure, I guess. And then you can use that in the context of the rest of the sentence and figure it out.
Is it a case of like some of the words are like completely out there, so you can just disregard some of them?
Nah, it's not that bad.
It's like, it's a word that begins with B, and it's like bully or something, and they're just sort of like, is it beach?
No, it's not phonetic. It's not phonetic like that. It's like the meaning of the word combined rather than like letters like our language. Yeah, anytime it was pretty obvious about what a thing was, it was either because the characters combined to make something really obvious like we, or because with the rest of the sentence, that one makes a hell of a lot of sense. Yeah, there's another thing, which is that the ancient scribes, apparently, as somebody remarks this, they often didn't bother to add spaces between their words because they didn't expect it to be read, which I find a really weird thing to say, considering that everybody's writing in this thing. Everybody back then seemed to write and engrave on literally everything.
They didn't expect it to be read.
Yeah.
Why are they writing it?
I assume it's more of like a decoration-y thing than anything, but just because there's so much writing everywhere, it just comes up and like, hang on, why? Sure, okay. But yeah, so that has another little level of the minigame where you, before translating each word, you kind of take this 20 long string of characters and you crush it down into smaller actual words, which you usually do by shoving in words that you already know into there, and you end up with smaller ones. That's usually quite fun.
It just sounds like they're doing graffiti. Just they expect anyone to say no.
Some of them do, yeah.
So they do the classic one, which is just I think it was like they found like an ancient text that when translated it just was like in a really high place, and when they translated it just said high place. It's so good. I think that's a real thing that happened. It might have just been something that I read that was a joke.
I'm sure it sounds like a Dark Souls message.
Or just a big drop.
Yeah.
I mean, for all we know, there could have been loads of cliffs that had big drop written on them, but all the cliffs have been eroded, so they've just fallen down over time, and we've just lost all of these big drop locations.
Oh.
Little warnings.
Yeah.
Big drop, little warnings.
Are those your rapper names?
Next album coming out next year.
Sounds pretty cool.
I was like, what's your first album going to be? Safety Rail or something like that?
No spaces. That's what we've got to call it.
Oh yeah. It's gotta be mumble rap, I guess.
Oh no.
We're gonna graffiti the name of the soundtracks on buildings, but don't expect anyone to read it though.
Yeah.
So.
There we go.
There we go. All right, so yeah, you're playing as Aaliyah. You start first scene of the game. Bam! You're halfway up the mountain in this desert hellscape. There's got ruins around. You've got big old ancient statues of gods, which you don't know yet. There's at the top of the mountain. There's a little bricked up area, and on that brick, somebody's engraved some words in ancient, which you translate to be Heaven's Vault.
Damn it! I was hoping it would just say brick.
Heaven's Gate. It's not brick, and it's not the other one.
Track on
and
from
bam,
no spaces.
Title drop.
It's just the brick just says eat shit because it's been thrown at somebody. So it hits them in the forehead. They're like, who threw that? And it just says eat shit. I'm like, you fuck. That's what I'd do.
And then he just slots into the wall he's building. But yeah.
To be fair, I don't think.
Yeah, and then it just pans out.
I don't think anyone would get hit by a brick would go, who threw that brick? I think you're being conscious.
You haven't played enough Skyrim, kid.
That's a good point.
So
Actually,
you
no.
haven't seen
Who's there?
Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
Without going into too much detail, because from what I have read about it, again, I haven't played this one. This is another one that I haven't played, but Sam has played. What is the plot like? Because from what I've read and what I understand, everything sort of slots into a timeline, both for your character and for what you're researching in the history of
Yeah, so there's multiple timelines in the game. There seems to be one for each planet, which is interesting.
Ooh.
You've got your life events, you've got like the founding of the empire, you've got a founding of a different empire, collapse of the empire, that sort of crap. I didn't really use those because the controls just like kind of freaked out every time I tried. I'd like try and go to the next thing to the left, and it would just go, woo, and always it'll go all the way to the start of the empire, or the start of the nebula, and it's like, I don't want to do that, please.
Okay.
Stop that. And I don't know. Maybe it's my fault, but I couldn't find a way to not have that sort of weird shit happen just constantly. So I just ignored all that.
Well, without going into the detail that you didn't read, because the controller's bugged out on you, what's like the overall plot of the game?
Alright, so you start after that little intro at the University of Iox.
Yep.
Your supervisor, Miari, sends a robot to come get you and to accompany you after that, but she tells you via the robot to come see her. You go with her. You name the robot 6 because he's the sixth robot you've had. You destroyed 5 others or lost 5 others.
Very British name,
that sort of thing, and you keep making jokes about it. And so does the robot, which is interesting because the robot's a sapient. So you killed or got one killed by other people effectively. But yeah, you head up, see Miari. She says, check out this brooch I found, or I got sent rather, by some guy called Remba. He used to work at the uni here. You say used? Yeah, he's gone missing. Also, he's a roboticist. He's the one that programmed all the robots after digging them up out of the ground, I think, because apparently they're all buried. And yeah, he sent me this, and that's the last thing I heard from him. He's gone missing. Please go find him. And
Bye.
so you do. Yep. You head off with 6. You head off to a moon called Mercy, which is it's nice and wet, but it's pretty poor. They do farming there, grow pigs. It's very muddy, that sort of thing. You go there, you talk around, you look at various bits of writing that are around. Look at a big old statue of a goddess, which also has writing on it, which says water goddess, shockingly. And you talk to them and find out that Remba did come here and fucked off. And then there was a big explosion in the sky sometime after, so maybe that was him, maybe not. Also, he left something at the base of the goddess statue, which you find, and it's a crystal. And using that crystal, the robot, it's like, yep, I can use that and figure out where this came from. It's this moon in the middle of nowhere. You go there, the robot teleports down with the hopper, and comes back. There's a box that Remba left there. He's leaving breadcrumbs for Miari. In that box are more artifacts. You use those, you track down some other moons. You go to one of the moons, there it's like a desert hellscape again. You're in like a canyon, and there's a villa there. A nice big villa, which is long abandoned, but the character's a surprise, because why the hell would this be there? Turns out, you loot it a bit, you look at things, and 2 people died here. One of them, you find their crown. It was the exiled emperor of the Holy Empire, which has fallen at some point. Yeah, apparently he lived out his last days here and then died. And yeah, you take that, you put it on, trying it out, and you hear some voices, and then you don't do that again. There's no option to do that again, so that's cool, I suppose. Also, Remba's ship is here. You go out, and Remba's ship apparently exploded and crashed here, so he's dead. Apparently he was using like rocket propellant instead of using sails like a normal person. Speaking of which, though, actually, most people don't sail because they think it eats your soul. Also, time is a loop, and history isn't real, so you shouldn't be wasting your time in archaeology. Do a real science.
I'm sorry, is this part of the game or is this Sam's real opinion?
No, that's part of the game.
Am I going to have to put in like a footnote that says this is expressed in the game? These are not the views of Sam.
Or maybe I've been convinced. You never know.
It's the voices in his head. It's like...
Oh yeah. Also, Miari, your supervisor, the one who sent you here, she took you from the slums in Elbereth, which is where you grew up, which is a poor moon which has kind of slums below and then a city above. And you access the city by going out to a gate, which doesn't have anything behind it. It's got solid rock, but you speak to it and it speaks back, and then you teleport up.
A gate?
Old tech. That's right. It's not Heaven's Gate.
I was going to say, hopefully
it's just a regular gate.
That would be really bad.
It does take you heavenward, so it could be. Yeah. After that aside, you try to leave. You hopper up to your ship. A hopper is like a line of sight teleporter. If you hopper into a lens, a specific type of lens, that can direct you somewhere that you can't see, which is pretty cool. That's how it works. In this case, you try to hop over the ship, and maybe it's like atmospheric refraction. You end up in a cave somehow, somewhere. And in that cave, Six he's come with you, but he's possessed by the ghost of Renber. Or probably by some sort of recording that Rember left because he's a roboticist. But it doesn't explain
dead,
as far as I know. So, well, yeah, he blew up on a ship.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'll do it. Yeah.
Robot definitively said that earlier. Yeah, he's pretty much, he thinks you're Miari. He says you're a liar about various things, and then he says something along the lines of, it doesn't matter, darkness is coming to the nebula.
Whoa. Oh,
there you go.
I'm a bit more sad that he didn't just go, Miari, do you remember 21st night in September? That's so bad. I'm sorry.
One odd place to put a musical number. Yeah. Do you remember?
And you're just there like, the darkness is coming. Party on! Now that you remember. It's just like, oh God, okay. Just wishing for the death of the universe.
Remember the 5th of November.
Plot or treason.
Gunpowder, treason,
and the darkness. It's funny because the other way I could have gone it is the darkness is coming. Oh, good. I believe in a thing called love. And then just gone down that route.
You cut out there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you cut out there. You went really high.
I believe in a thing called love is what I did.
It's neither in that. Yeah. So the story of this game, by the way, it's very non-linear in the sense that after Mercy and possibly before that as well, you can pretty much just choose where to go, when, and also just not to go there at all if you so wish. So the order of how you do things and what things actually happen can probably vary quite a lot between person to person. The areas you can go to, I don't think are limited per se, but in terms of actually knowing where you can go, you start with the map, and then that expands as you find different artifacts, which your robot can kind of magically triangulate to different positions across the nebula. Don't ask me how. But sometimes it makes sense. Like, yes, this material must have come from this area, but other times it's like, yep, you found 3 things over here, and thus fucked on that way, unmaxed space. It's got to be in that area. Let's go. Which doesn't make quite so much sense, but hey. Yeah, so there's that, and also the decisions you can make. There's a lot of dialogue where you choose things. You've got 3 dialogue options usually, and you can kind of choose to. This is like actual person-to-person dialogue rather than just chatting with your companion. You can usually just kind of stop conversing or not, or bring things up and not bring things up, that sort of thing. Yeah, there's at least I know situations where you can just straight up switch out who you travel around with permanently. And I imagine there's other decisions that change things that can happen, like doing quests or not doing quests and that sort of thing. But I imagine for the most part, the overall storyline remains mostly the same. It's just the details and certain steps in between that change.
So where does it lead to then? Because it's a bit tricky to talk about a non-linear game. So how does it culminate?
It culminates in you continuing what you're doing. You go, maybe I should go see Miari. And you decide, maybe later. And then you keep doing that for the entire rest of the game until at one point you're forced to go back to Iox. And you're like, I guess we should probably go talk to Miari this time. But then you don't, and you continue, and you can go to the end of the game without talking to her.
So what you were saying is you decided to not.
I decided not to do it. It's pretty funny just not going back to her. The thing on the map is like, I should go tell Miari what happened to her dead friend Rember. Also, she really wants to see this priceless crown of the Emperor that I found. And then I just never did it.
Am I the only one wondering what Mary's done to you to make you... so you just don't want to involve her in anything?
I just found it really funny. She called me an Elverethan rat at one point, which I think was meant in good spirits. I made a joke and she's like, get out my office, Elverethan rat.
Shunned ever since.
Right, well, I'm not going to tell you what your dead friend did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you're not getting this expensive jewelry you can do.
And you say that as you leave the office, and it's like, you don't know they're dead yet.
Yeah.
This is New Game Plus, bitch, I know. As you just leave.
Yeah.
Especially just breaks into another dance routine, I guess.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so you can go to Elbereth, which I did. And there's an old friend there who's kind of not your friend anymore, but you still show up and bug her about helping with tech and things like that. And I gave her the crown, this priceless hugely historically significant crown of the Holy Empire, and it was like, hey, here you go. Try and figure out what this does. It made sounds at me, and then leave her. And the robot's like, Miari's my owner. I have to tell her. I can't keep this a secret type thing. So yeah, you actually on the second playthrough, I kind of knew that he would have to do that, so I tricked him into just leaving while I picked up the crown from the box it's in. I was like, oh, I can't open this. You go get something on the ship. And then I opened it and I took the crown up, put it in my pocket, closed it. He came back and I was like, oh no, there's nothing inside, even though it says "Great Treasure" on the box in Ancient. Which for some reason Rember didn't pick up. I'm not sure quite why on that, but I guess he couldn't read. Yeah. It turns out after you follow some more things, you head to a place called the Withering Palace. Ooh, which is on a hellscape as per usual. There's a big old sandstorm that's killing Aaliyah, but she gets there, and inside there's a big old courtyard with a bunch of statues of the gods. There's a hopper which is pointing forwards. In the path of the hopper, there is a chair, and also in the path of the hopper, but beyond that, is a hopper lens, and that your robot tells you is pointing underground. So don't go down there. There might not be a way back. Also, you come back and inspect it later, and you find out this hopper lens. It's flawed, but in an intentional way that makes it so that it transfers either the body or the mind. Only I can't remember which one. But either way, it ends up storing the mind in some way. Also, your robot, for some reason, he remembers being a human here, which is obviously impossible. Also, he was buried on Iox when he was dug up, so yeah, there you go. That's cool.
That's suspicious as fuck.
And yeah, he speculates this place was some sort of execution ground.
Oh!
You get hobbled into rock, so there you go. Have fun. Yeah, it turns out later on, you come back, you fiddle with that thing again. You bring Oroi, your friend, whatever the fuck her name was. You bring her with you, and she kind of fiddles with it and says, I can use the echoes on this thing and bring back an image of like one of the last people that used this and put that in your robot temporarily. And you're like, is that gonna damage him? She's like, who cares? And you're like, oh yeah, right, fine, fuck it, go for it.
Very caring.
And then your robot 6 is possessed by the first empress and founder of one of the empires, probably the holy one. I think that's the last one, maybe. And then she permanently takes over 6's body, and 6 is now gone. So there you go. Also, 6 was probably somebody that was alive at one point. He got turned into a robot. Voila. He's now dead again. So that's pretty cool. And she instead of being called like mistress and stuff like that, she calls you things like Elverithian rat and pauper and stuff like that when she's talking with you. It's great.
What a lovely woman.
It's a nice change. Yeah, it's funny. There's one point, let's see if I can find that in here. There's one point where you go back to Iox. You're kind of forced to go back after she first appears. One of the workers at the uni there speaks to you and says effectively what I said earlier about there it is. Yeah. History is not a real subject. You should study something better. And why are you so obsessed with it? It's rather morbid. And Leah's like, I really hate her. And NK's just like, we will have her executed. Okay, nice. Legend. Hell yeah. Yeah. Also, there's a guy called Huang who works at the uni there, and if you bring him inscriptions and stuff, he can help you out quite a lot. He can tell you words he knows, even if you can know the meaning and that sort of thing. I never used that because I wasn't on IOX at any point, apart from the start and that one point before I left. There you go. That's probably useful if you're doing that. Oh yeah, NK also knows about the darkness that's sweeping across the nebula. Yeah, there you go. Nobody ever explains what the hell it actually means, but that's neat. Also, NK, she toppled her empire. She turned herself into a robot. Her empire. She turned herself into a robot to become immortal. And then, after some point, when the empire was turning to decadence and all that stuff, as bad as the robot one before, which apparently was a thing, she leads a rebellion, topples it, and then gets betrayed by the rebels she's leading, who were terrified of her at that point, and gets sealed underground. And there you go. And then, bam, she woke up, and she was Rember's? His name is Rember, right? She was Rember's robot, and that's how we found all these things. There you go. But he's still dead, so that's cool. And then, eventually, you go on, you find a big old dish in the ground, which is actually a landing platform. It turns out well springs, the sorts of rivers, they can be made. Also, this place has lower gravity than it should do. Weird. Also, there's a bunch of facilities where there's robots controlling everything, and by controlling everything, I mean working on everything. They're not actually in charge, unless they are, but they're not. So, you go through all those, you find some mass graves, that sort of thing, You buy a slave who leads you to a place that Rainbow was
lovely.
digging on. Yeah, he's only got one arm now, or rather, he's got an arm, but it's all thin. He got
Ooh.
injured because of Remba. Previously, he had a bunch of arguments with the slaver, as you do. You know, slavery's bad, that sort of thing. Yeah. She's like, "Hey, I'm working here." Yeah, okay, sure. Right, bye-bye. I need him. And yeah, you take him, you go somewhere, he knocks you out and tries to steal his ship, along with his girlfriend. And then you can leave him behind, but I chose not to. And then I ditched them on some random marketplace somewhere, where you can sell 6 if you wanted to get the location of a ruin. But I didn't. Instead, I got him killed and switched him out with Enke, which was much superior. He's an empress, so yeah, that trumps it quite a bit. There's one planet, one little moon rather, where there's a kid there. It turns out he's actually from Elbereth. You know the gate that teleports you up to the city? If you say a naughty word in front of it, it teleports you across the nebula onto this empty moon. Not empty moon, but this abandoned little building on the moon, which fortunately had some trees and fruits and stuff growing on it. And he's been stuck there for like 6 years.
That's brutal.
So you have a fight with him. It's a play fight. You get a wooden sword and you're like, ja, ja. And he thinks you're a ghost. And then you bring him, you get a choice of where to put him. You can put him at Iox, Elbereth, or Mercy. I went with Mercy because it seems like not a shithole. You come back and check on him, and he's hanging out with the pigs. He's translating their prophecies. He's doing pretty well. Yeah, eventually, you go find a place, another moon, and this moon has an aquifer on it, right? And it's got a pothole, not a manhole effectively in the ground, under which there's water. And your robot, NK, she's looking at it, she said, that's interesting. That hopper is pointing to Iox. The water from the wellspring on this moon must be transferring directly to Iox. And that's why there's so much water there, Iridescent part. Also, there's some other hoppers here that have been blocked up. Now, one of them is pointing off towards the not the Withering Pass, the Heaven's Vault, that location we kind of vaguely found where it is, but we can't get to it because it's absolutely miles away past the edges of all the rivers that go anywhere in the nebula. I wonder what this means. So what you do is you block off the hopper. You can smash it, but I just put a rock on, and bam, Iox is now starting to dry up somewhere over there. I hope they enjoy that. I think Ellie is like, I wonder how Mary's going to explain this. But yeah, you do that, and you unblock the one pointing off towards the Heaven Vault. And then voila, boom, a river appears. That was impossible. Nope, not anymore. And so yeah, you sail off on that, and you vanish. NK is like, you sure? There may not be a way back. This is because rivers are one way, because you're sailing using the water effectively to push you along. It's a bit like a solar sail, except it's water and also light and also oxygen. And yeah, you go that way, never looking back. You end up at the intro of the game, and you get at the top of that mountain. And you look at the brick. Oh, it says Heaven's Vault. How about I look at this lower brick where there's a much more complicated word or series of words, because that was the first one. And you do that, and I'll be honest, I was like, oh fuck. When I first saw the first like phrase, I went off the page, and I was like, oh okay, there's a new control I hadn't realized. You can scroll the word around because I hadn't had to until now. But you head on in, you push the bricks out. They're actually really easy to get through, and you go inside. And the mountain, it's not actually a mountain. It's some sort of crashed spaceship, nebula ship. Who knows? Effectively, there's a bunch of robots in there. They don't have any heads. They're just wandering around. Ooh. And this facility is actually also the moon itself, not just the mountain. It's pretty sci-fi. It's got glowing stuff. It's got a walkway leading down to the center. It's a big circular room with a massive drop, and it's got a walkway leading down. You walk up to it, it teleports across the room. You walk up to it again, it teleports. You keep doing that. Eventually, maybe it doesn't teleport, except then it does, and then you keep doing that, and eventually you get onto the walkway. I'm sure there's probably some logic behind it, but I didn't figure out what it was. There were these little robots that go at me, and I don't know what that means, so I just ignore them. So you go down to the center bit, and there's another robot. He projects. No, there isn't actually. Nope. Somebody projects into NK. It takes over her temporarily. A big old eagle, which is a relevant symbol throughout the game, kinda. I'm not sure quite why. Apparently they're big and they breathe fire or something.
Oh,
maybe.
Like a phoenix, essentially.
Yeah, maybe a phoenix. They're called eagles there, so yeah. And this fella, he's like, Overseer, do you want a vault? And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Who are you? What does that mean? And he's like, I'm the ship. And then you're like, are you absorbing the rivers? 65% of the core is now recovered. The energy must be recovered for the continuation of the journey. Oh. NK's still there. She's like popping back in and asking clarifying questions, that sort of thing. But effectively, it seems like a big old spaceship or something came through. Something went wrong. Boom. Its core got scattered around, and that is what forms the Wellsprings the Nebula, probably just the very rock itself that the various moons are made out of. And the darkness is this ship recovering its component parts, which are producing light. So over time, over a long time, the nebula is going to go dark, effectively dry up, and everyone's going to die. There you go. Neat.
Oh,
and
okay.
you get a choice here. You get to either say, "Yep, let's vault, baby," and leave the space behind. Eventually, entropy will happen, and the place will just go dry. I would presume it would take longer because the ship's not actively drawing everything back into itself, which I presume it was. Yeah, you get the choice of either vaulting out, leaving everything behind, and you're like, well, maybe we can come back at some point. You never know. Or alternatively, you can not do that
And deactivate the ship.
and deactivate the ship, and that will effectively permanently prevent it from being able to vault.
Right.
Which
Yep.
one did you choose?
And the nebula will still be lost in that case, eventually. Probably less time. More time, rather. Naturally, I chose to leave. Nebula's fucked anyway, right? So, who cares?
Fair play. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also, all the robots have an ethical core, and that prevents them from actively choosing to harm someone. And it also causes them, suffering distress if they're around other people suffering type thing. And the ship has been stuck between the two options. Vault out and let everybody die, or stay here and everybody dies. And that's why it hasn't been able to choose, because both of them would harm people. So it's just been his suffering for, at the very least, millennia.
Right, so
yeah,
it's been
have fun
waiting
with
for
that,
a third party to
Yeah,
go,
somebody
this
that's not
is the
constrained by the rules.
decision, essentially.
Yep.
And so they're not the ones at fault anymore. They're just under
Yep.
orders.
So yeah, then we vault away. Boom! Game's ended. And I just want to highlight Miari summoned us there, sent us out to go find Remba.
And destroyed the world.
The water cut off to. I mean, the nebula's still there. It's just going dry. But yeah, cut off the water to Iox all of a sudden, and then never heard from us again. She would have had reports that we were on Iox at one point, way after she sent us out. We talked to some people there, and then left again. And she's like,
I love the idea that the planet just sort of dries up, and it's just sorry.
Yeah. So there you go.
Mistress Molly, the entire planet is drying up. I bet it was that bitch with ships.
Bitch with ships.
Joke's on you. He's not 6 anymore.
Well, yeah. Obviously, she doesn't know that because you've not gone and told her anything.
Yeah.
You told her anything, yeah.
So yeah, I went back and did New Game Plus, which is pretty much the same, but you've got the words you knew, and there's more complex words that stuff the show. So I was like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll stick with Iox a bit more this time. And yeah, some cool things happen. You go to Remba's funeral, and you can be a dick, or you can be like, that's very cool, nice loop religion. Yeah, sure, okay, or you can not. And yeah, turns out actually if you do that, Remba's being given artifacts by Miari. Also, when he spoke to you in that one cave, he was like, you know what you seem, you Miari, I'm talking to you directly, who I know you are the one I'm talking to. And yeah, I don't know what that's foreshadowing. I presume I just missed that content. Probably because I wasn't going to Iox ever, but also maybe just because the decisions I made, who knows.
So overall, how are the visuals, the sound, and the theme of the game? So what do you reckon?
Yeah, so the visuals, they're pretty nice actually for the most part. The fidelity is not necessarily the highest in certain points, but the style's definitely there, and the film's not bad either for the most part. The when you're sailing around the nebula, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it is pretty beautiful. Nice colours. It's got 3-dimensional big things everywhere in all directions, glowing clouds, that sort of thing. It's pretty cool. You got little firefly things that are floating on the rivers when it gets really short, really slow. But the characters are all hand drawn, which is pretty cool. It's a bit like I think you said Doom was, where although you think you said it was in Doom, it was 3D models.
Yeah, in Doom they made 3D models and then they took pictures and put that in.
In this, it's kind of the equivalent where it's a hand drawn image, I guess, of the character for each angle, probably 16 for the full rotation, I guess, maybe 8. I think 16 is possibly more likely, and those look pretty good. It's pretty good to be honest. There's my main complaint with it is one of the angles when you're going around Leah, she has this stupid fucking smirk on her face, and she always has that at the angle, regardless of the situation. It's obnoxious.
When you're in
dialogue,
smirk.
when you're in dialogue,
Oh, God.
It sometimes just like pans to a certain angle on the character, so you can get, depending on the angle it goes to, you can get that sort of expression. It's just blah. Stop it, lad. Stop it, Ilya. Also, when you're walking around, I'm guessing this is because it's all hand drawn and they didn't want to draw like 50,000 different versions of the feet moving around. Your feet vanish when you walk. That's pretty neat. Yeah, they just kind of go transparent. Everybody doesn't do that, which is
So
cool.
just hovering at points. Though.
Also, I think you leave like an after image of yourself behind when you walk. Like where you were standing, you stay there and you're walking along, and then you vanish, type thing, and you keep on walking.
I mean, that
Which
might be
is
useful.
Cool. I think it's more stylistic than useful. I can't see any use for it.
Let's
You
say-
move slowly enough that you're not going to forget where you were.
Doesn't sound that useful, to be honest. No.
Also, the intro of the game, you start, because you're going up this hill and you got rock lung or whatever, you start on like lowish health, which is apparently a thing in this, and as a result of that, you move like you're staggering around. But in this game, that turns into you lurching forwards like a meter, looking like you're teleporting because of the way the movement works, and then you stop, and then you maybe do it again. When you're walking around normally, it's not jarring, but that, as the first experience of playing it, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with the movement of this game? Why am I lurching around like a drunk hobo? What is going on? And then eventually it stopped, and I was like, okay, why? Going back, I realized it's because I was low health, but I hadn't seen that for like the entire rest of the game. I was only, hang on a second.
Right.
Yeah, so that was bizarre.
Health? Why is there health?
You can get damaged at certain points, and I guess if you really like damaging yourself, you can probably die from it. Never got anywhere near close. There's one point where you're in a sandstorm, and I guess if you stood in front of that, you probably die eventually. But you can just keep walking through it, and it's fine. So who knows?
Right.
I like NK, the Empress's ghost head. That looked pretty cool. She's got like a hair blowing. She's got the weird like negative colors because she's a hologram. She looks sinister but also cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
What was it? Complaints next?
Yeah.
Complaints. You walk too slowly.
I
walk
thought that was
slowly.
coming.
You walk really bloody slowly everywhere. Just jog, lady. Come on. Get some exercise. Yeah.
That's a point. Is it point and click or is it?
No. It's regular WSD, I imagine. But I was playing controller. So
Right. Okay.
press stick. Yeah.
So I was under the impression it was like a point and click adventure game.
No. Oh, I forgot about this. There's one point you go underground and you're suffocating to death in toxic gas,
Oh.
and there's a god down there.
There's a god.
And if you ask him questions, in his eye, the lens, it has words scratched into it, and those change when you ask him different questions.
Oh.
There you go. He tells you about Heaven's Vault. Pretty cool. That's near one of those mass graves.
Did you manage to get the eye?
I didn't steal his eye, no.
Oh.
I was going to go back down after climbing back up to get some fresh air, and Lee was like, nah, I'm not doing that again.
Jesus.
I was like, just jump down. It's only a 50-foot drop, if not more.
Bit dramatic.
Oh, also, I think this is an NK quote. Hope is for imbeciles. So there you go.
Hope is for imbeciles. Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. At one point, there's a cart that gets knocked upside down, I guess. And then NK's like, Wretch, the cart is upside down. Oh, I know what it is. It's because you're trying to read the writing on it. And you're like, this doesn't seem to make sense. She's just like, Wretch, the card is upside down. And then the writing flips over and you read it properly.
This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
pretty neat.
I see.
Oh, that's good.
Other than complaints, it's mostly just lack of variety and things to do. You walk around, you talk and stuff, which is pretty cool. The mini game itself is pretty fun, but a playthrough took 13 hours, and I'm not sure it was enough to carry that. If I wasn't doing it for this, I wouldn't have finished it.
Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I think it's worth playing. It's enjoyable. Honestly, the main selling point for me was figuring out how the world works and the history.
Right.
Even though my grasp of the history of it is pretty damn limited.
I mean, I've got it on Steam. I haven't played it, but I do have it. I got it in a bundle.
You should play it. You've got to commit to playing it all the way through, though.
Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons I haven't so far, because there's a lot to it.
But hey,
So,
it's fun.
Yeah.
It's quite cool figuring out how certain words work and then recognizing those, linguistic rules or whatever you'd call it for it.
Right. A lot of pattern recognition.
Yeah.
I have seen people describe it as a puzzle game of sorts.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, sound.
Oh, sound.
The game's got sound.
The game has sound.
It's got music, unlike the Bard's Tale. Okay, fine. It's got environmental music, unlike the Bard's Tale.
No drinking.
Also, like the Bard's Tale, it doesn't necessarily use it all that much. It's got really nice when you're sailing around. You got these nice like violin-y things, which apparently has light synth elements. For the most part, the actual music when you're in the area, it's either silence with just ambient sound, or it's like really loud drone,
Oh.
You know, just one note just being bwah, just
Like a didgeridoo?
sinister sound. No, it's it's not like hugely decoding, but it's just like sinister noise in the background, which can be a bit out of place depending on where you are.
You're just buying your lunch, like you're getting a Tesco meal deal. It's like, you're like, is this sandwich got poison? Is it not cooked? What's happened? Or you're just in Asda and you just sort of like, because other supermarkets are available, and you just sort of like go in, you pick up some ham. I'm just like, ooh, bad ham.
Mud ham.
I think it'd be worse when you wake. The first thing you hear when you wake up in the morning.
I was thinking, or even worse, you're about to go in the cinema. Like, I'd like to see this, please. Like, maybe I'll choose something else. So I'd like to see
Mean Girls the musical
come out recently. I want to see Mean Girls the musical. Okay, maybe not. I would like to see the 25th anniversary version of the Mummy. I won't watch the Mummy. Okay. I would like to see Dune 2. There's got to be something I would like to watch. And like, oh my god, me watching a film? Is that what and just no one else can hear this music? Only even like, is watching the film bad? And everyone else is just watching you just stare into the air, doing nothing. Then you get on the bus and you shit yourself. Because that was the problem. You had diarrhea. And it was just saying, get to a toilet. That's what the problem was. Get to the toilet. I was building up to that. That was so... I'm sorry for wasting your time.
It's a bowels warning. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be...
It's just got like chanting orchestra when you're in the actual toilet.
With the synth. As you're just like, straining really hard. It's just... and it's just everyone else in the toilet leaves.
And you're joining in. You're like breathing exercises.
I'm glad that joke actually led to something other than just me making a terrible fucking...
That was the most weirdest toilet joke I think I've ever heard.
Oh dear. I've got one more thing probably that I just put in my notes. You remember the last level where I was saying how I spotted we started coming across massively long phrases where it's like 30 characters and doesn't fit on the screen?
Yep.
One of those pops up and Leah's like, this one must be several words. And it's like, you don't say. No, it's one big old word.
I love the idea. You just sort of like pick it up and you're there like, I wonder what this says. And it's the game's final musical number. You just pick up a brick and it's just like, what does this say? What's up, pussycat? Whoa. And it's like, Tom Jones? Why is there Tom Jones on this brick? You just turn it over and it's just signed by Tom Jones on the back.
Well, the only licensed song in the game.
Turns out none of the other things. It's just, what's up, pussycat? Whoa. And anyone who's not heard that song is just like, what the fuck is this? Honestly, if I had my way and it was like, I don't know, made by like Kickstarter, you just get a brick wall at the end of the game and you put people's names as like the Kickstarter backers wall or something like that. And it's just a way to learn weird words. You're like, Smethern 58? What? What does that mean?
That'd be a new way to
Pussy
learn.
Whistle 54? Just something in...
Dong torpedo.
Dong torpedo? Oh, this one's called Dr. Henry Jones Jr. I wonder what that's a reference.
Dirty Harry 97.
Dirty Harry 97. And obviously Foley's alt account, which is just called Marion Cabretti Hart.
Oh.
That was classified, but okay.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have done it.
Out me like that.
See, I don't know whether it's funny to bleep that or not. I don't know.
Yeah, they'll never know what my identity was.
Oh dear. Well, now, word from our sponsors. Hi there. We here at Tower of Babel Tourism wish to invite you to our humble abode of the biblical world. We built this as a testament of the power of unity, what mankind can do with all of the people working together through freedom and peace. As people of peace and tranquility, take your time. There's no rush. After all, It's not like it'll be destroyed by some vengeful god who hates that people are growing too powerful. Whatever that means. Besuchen Sie uns noch heute. Profite del Tour de Babel. Questo è stato un bollettino turistico Torre de Babele. Well, that was a very interesting sponsorship this week. I completely concur with that sponsorship. It's great. I love insert product here, or whatever it is. And to my part of the podcast, which is funny because I had a fairly large segment towards the beginning, but yes.
Oh my.
It's funny because what I've got is, I put a part down and it says, what Rhys has been doing.
What has Rhys been doing?
Well, I've got a bit that just says, not a huge amount, and then like 2 paragraphs of text.
I mean...
Because when I wrote this, I'd only done like the one thing, which was just, not done a huge amount, I went to Bristol. And it was basically just 2 sentences after that, and then I wrote more. A lot more.
2 paragraphs more. Right.
Yes. So I went to Bristol.
More?
And the most entertaining thing from my visit to Bristol is I had a blissful moment where I didn't recognise the McDonald's logo.
Oh dear.
I'm sorry,
I just looked down the street and went, ooh, I wonder what that shop is. It has a yellow M as part of the thing. I just didn't recognise it. And I wish that was the case again. I can just go, a yellow M instead of, ooh, McDonald.
Oh, so so it's just the M by itself, and
I just sort of went, ooh, a golden, like a yellow M. What is that? Oh, that's where I'm an idiot. Yeah. So I've just written, I long for that again. Right. The other thing is, I tested 3 games for a potential podcast. These are all games that I got on disc. The first one, that one works great. It's on the list. Next is, now this is the game that you had me very angry and salty talking in the group chat. So you two will have been privy to this, so I'll explain on the podcast. This game is called Ace Lightning for the PC. I played it, it installed fine, was a bit laggy on the install, but yeah, it installed fine. And then I got to the main menu theme, rocked out a lot, banging theme, love the Ace Lightning theme. It is so terrible, noughties rock, I love it.
Yeah.
So I started playing the game, started to do all the base controls, started off looking quite good. I could swing my blade, I could charge at people, I could shoot from my lance, couldn't jump. I could not jump in this 3D platformer, because that's what it is. Now, I had just assumed that this was a dead issue, and I googled it, and I couldn't find anything about it for a while, other than just the Abandonware website saying, here's a download for it. And I was like, well, maybe I'll have a look on there, see if there's any talk about that. And the only talk that I could see at the beginning was just, known bugs. Known bug. You can't jump. There is no fix for this bug. Good luck. And I was like, what? Thanks.
Yeah.
Great. But then I scrolled down to the comments, and somebody had figured out what the problem was. Now, the problem isn't that the game just doesn't register it, it's that the game was not designed to work on hardware this good, because it was made for PS2 era hardware. So we're running at a far higher frame rate capacity than the game is good for. It's built for 30 frames per second from 2003, not like 1,000 plus frames per second from 2024. So the game is like doing the entirety of the jump and calculating all of that before you have finished pressing the button. So the only thing that it can register is you landing. So in order to play the game, I would have to install an FPS limiter and then install that so that it would limit it so that I could play this game from 2003. And because of how much of a ball ache that would be, I'm not putting it on the list.
So, do they not have an inbuilt FPS limiter?
No, because
They just
they just assumed that computers would be shit, I guess.
They kind of gave up before they even started. So.
I kind of get it, but like, yeah, I mean, I guess so. But if you're going to tie the physics to the frame rate, surely you want a fixed frame rate, just in general.
I mean, the worst part is when I just kept jumping. I showed the guys a video, and we might be able to show a little bit of it, maybe. But I kept jumping, and I just constantly get greeted with the and I'm not leaving the ground. It's just doing that, right? And then it gets to a point where he does leave the ground, but he's effectively hovering in the air like he's in the Matrix. And I could just move forwards, and he's just sort of gyrating up and down while I'm floating forwards through the air. And oh my god, it was so bad.
That sounds like a power stance.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I think it's called like if Evil Fear or something like Fear. If the villain of this game sees him coming like that, I would advise you just pack your bags and you just let him win.
It's kind of giving me Larry vibes.
Larry?
Larry from.
Oh God,
Mr.
Larry.
Deeds.
Yeah, where he's just hovering above his chair because of
Unexplained levitating.
Hey, look,
God.
just the video that you shared. He's look very majestic, just gliding around.
Yeah, the problem is you didn't hear him going like when he's floating about. And so we got to a point where the camera just I was just recording it to show how dodged this looked. And then the camera rotated as text on the screen of what you're supposed to do in the level is jump around these platforms. And it had me going, uh-oh. I don't think I can do that.
I was gonna ask, was jumping like an integral part to this game?
It's a platformer, Foley. It is a platformer. And then I entered another room, and it was like, "Oh, combat! I can do this." And then it's like you beat all the enemies, and it's like you've unlocked your coins. Here they are. We're putting them on a pedestal that you need to jump to. You assholes! I can't get that one.
They knew what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Are the other animations touch the frame rate as well? Is everything else happening
No,
really instantly?
the fighting is fine. The laser is fine. It's just the jump that's supposedly
That's so
tied to the
weird.
frame rate.
That is weird.
I wonder why they just gave up on the jumping.
I don't understand. Genuinely, it's a shame because it looked like it would be a fairly decent platformer, to be honest. Graphics-wise at the time, considering it's a licensed TV game from the BBC, making it even lower tier what it would be, it actually looks like a decent game. Not great. Do not quote that I have said it looks like a great game if it could jump. It looks like a decent...
To be fair,
Heard it here first. Best game 2003, whatever this is called.
Okay, so game number 3. This is a game I have not told you about because this was even worse of an adventure than that one.
right.
Okay, so Ace Lightning, I bought that with Foley from CX, which is, if you don't know, I don't know if it's actually in America or whatever, but CX is effectively a place where you can buy and sell games and sort of tech. So I bought Ace Lightning for 50p, and there is a way that I could get it working, so, not too bad, but 50p for a game, whatever. I like to go to CX to have a look around, just see if there's any interesting games. This one I got from like a really like cheap shop, and I got this game for 25p, and holy shit, it was bad.
For 25p.
The game menu lagged.
Oh.
Like, my God.
When was this game made as well?
This game was like, it looks like a mid-2000s. This one's a strategy game.
Right.
It's a strategy game that needs precise controls, and the game menu lagged, and the game itself was even worse. It lagged so bad that I couldn't select more than 2 people at a time when I tried to, because when you would do the bit where you left-click hold to create that box over people, by the time you've gone over 2 people and are able to select them, the game's lagged, and then the mouse loses the box, and the box has gone. So you're fucked. Terrible.
Oh, dear.
Now, the biggest issue was that the game took me 20 minutes to turn off because it made my entire computer lag.
Yeah.
It was not good. Every time I tried to right-click End Task in Task Manager, the mouse decided, lag, and you would just lose the right-click box. Real bad.
It was forcing you to play the game.
It's trying to force me to play the game. I refused. I managed to shut it down after 20 minutes.
Show users 25p and it'd be
The
worth
problem is
it.
the keyboard was working fine.
I think you can kill things in Task Manager with just a keyboard.
I mean, probably can, but I couldn't remember how is the problem.
I'll kill Discord.
Oh, don't kill Discord. It'd be terrible. But yeah, it took me 20 minutes to turn it off, and wasn't having it. It was annoying. Looks like I'm not missing much, though. The game was rated a 12 by PC Gamer. Out of 100.
Out of 100? Oh.
Yeah.
What genre is it? Oh, strategy.
It's called The Battle for Troy. It is a
Okay.
strategy game from what looks like mid-2000s. I didn't look into it too far. Do you guys want to know what the final nail in the coffin for this game was?
Go ahead.
God.
What do you think it was called in the Task Manager?
Ace Lightning 2.
Malware.
Honestly, Sam, close enough. It's The Battle for Troy. It was called Trojan.
Oh, Trojan. Oh, no.
I was there like, oh dear.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised I didn't get flagged by an antivirus.
Honestly, I'm surprised I didn't either. It was just sort of a point where I was sort of like, okay, now I need to talk about this shit show. It's called fucking Trojan.
I mean, when were Trojans at least well known? Trojan use of the term by 1971. The first Unix manual assumed its readers knew both.
1971.
Yep. It was made popular in 1983. I think by 2003 or whatever you said. They probably should have known what it meant.
My God, what's wrong with them?
Maybe it was done on purpose.
Honestly, that's the only way to give them credit if it was done to fuck with just me. Specifically me.
Yeah.
15 years. Someone's going to play this. Actually, it's probably like 20 by now.
God,
20 years, somebody's going to play this game.
For 25p.
Nobody else is going to play it.
Like, cover the dust off of it, just unearthing an ancient artifact, just... The battle for Troy.
They calculate
everything.
Like,
and I put the disc in. Trojan. Yeah, this seems fine.
There's that soundtrack again. It's like... Doom.
God, yeah.
You're trying to close it.
Took you 20 minutes to close as well.
I mean, at some point, you just kill the power.
Yeah.
I do find it funny though when the game only crashes when you close it. It's like, okay, I wanted you to stop anyway.
Bye.
Other than some games, it's literally the only time it's ever crashed me is when closing it. It's like,
It's happened to me with a lot of old games because it's just they're like, "You want us to close? No, we'll close for you." So let's move away from my terrible dice with a computer virus and go over to Foley. Foley, what was your film?
The film was The Librarian Quest for the Spear.
Is that part of the Librarian series, I guess?
Yes, I think they've done 3 films, I think.
There's 3 films and a TV show.
Yes, they have done a TV show very recently.
Well,
yeah.
moderate. I think it was like 2016, maybe.
Yeah, still fairly recent. But I think it's got some of the visual casting as well. Which is quite nice.
8 years ago. 8 years ago is recent, is it?
Recent, yeah. I'm guessing it was like a TV movie. So, and you see it.
Yeah, this was a TV movie.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like it had a theatrical release. The story is about a 30-year-old man called, is it Flynn? And he is still a student at a university. Like, he's in his 30s and he's still studying. And even his professor goes, I am kicking you off this course. Because I think he's only qualified with all, like, he knows about his history, and he's got too many degrees.
Do you remember how many degrees that he had?
I swear it's like over 20.
It was 27 degrees.
27 degrees, yes. That was it. 27.
I could definitely understand him kicking off the course of just being there like, dude, you've got 27 degrees. You've got almost as many degrees as you do years of your life.
Yeah. He's like,
time to leave and fucking get one.
It's the fact his professor, like, he goes, I spoke to the people, like the head of the board. You just have to just get out, explore the world a bit more. You just need to get alive. And he goes back home, and because he goes back home, and he's just in his room, surrounded by all these books. And I don't know where he was going to go, but he's about to leave, and his mum sets him over a girl. To be fair, the conversation between them, Flynn and this girl, is actually quite funny. They just sat on the sofa. It's like, try to set us up a date. Oh, they're like, yeah. It's like, she goes, oh, they just think we're like people are 30 spend time in our room. It's like, yeah, so another peanut. So I kind of like it. I like the character. Like, I think the actor actually does a really good job playing Flynn. Like, he actually, I thought he's going to be a bit cringy, like, because he's like a very socially awkward guy. But I think the guy actually does the comedic style very well. So I like that little interaction. But I think his mum, it's just the fact his mum just wants him to have a girlfriend. It's like, she just sees that's the only thing she wants for him. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, why don't you just try helping him out with other things, like push him into another direction? But then I think it's the next day he gets a letter, and when he opens it, all this early 2000s CGI, like, it starts writing itself like Harry Potter. It's like, oh, you've been invited to this library for an interview. It's like, it just comes out of nowhere, the whole magical side to it. And so he goes to the library. It's like a whole staircase of people waiting, and like, got people running out crying. It sounds brutal.
Literally, he just sort of looks so awkward. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like he must be there for 2 hours at least, just waiting. So it's just funny, just him just seeing other people cry. He's like, oh my god, it's the worst interview ever. It's like, oh god. But it's the fact it's literally his turn, and he's about to bolt it. I'm like, you're there now. Go for it. And like, even the interviewer's like, where are you going? You get in here. And then big empty room, we got this woman, very
prim and proper.
Yeah, it's
real scary.
It's terrifying. She has like such a stern face on her, and like, goes, tell me why we should hire you as the new librarian. And I think he goes, oh, because I like books. He's like, oh, for God's sake. It's like that. But what's expected though? She was like, no, but tell us what other people haven't told me that I didn't know. And he just starts psychoanalyzing her. It's like, oh yeah, you got like a scar on your nose where you had like a nose surgery when you were 4, and you live with 3 cats. It's like, oh, okay. It's just so out of nowhere. But then that obviously gets him through the fact like he's very observant. He knows his stuff. And then this man...
also, I think the fact that he basically parrots what his mum tells him, like, 5 minutes. It's the sort of thing that you think would come back, like, towards the end of the movie. He basically says 5 minutes later, and he's like, oh, yeah, you got the job. You're in.
Yeah. Oh, that was it, because she just goes, oh, yeah, send everyone home. I feel a bit sorry for the other people. They were there for ages, like...
Yeah, such a big queue, and it's just, they're like, fuck off.
It's like, yeah, don't need you now.
Why is the library so popular?
I know, there's so many people. But then it does explain why. Because I was a bit confused, like, what is so special about being a librarian? Like, you just got in the book, I don't know. But then this man, is it Judson? He's pretty much, the boss is. He just materialises out of thin air coming into the room. It's just, even to Flynn, it seemed like he didn't freak out. Like, he just glows. I was like, I'm sorry. But if a man just materialised into the room, I'd be a bit freaked. He didn't seem like bothered about the letter either. They're like, oh, how you doing now? How you writing back? I was like, he doesn't seem to be freaking out about these things. But yeah, Judson explains why it's important to have Flynn, because the fact he knows about his history, he's very observant. It's pretty much, how would you describe it? It's like the guardian of all things historical, like artifacts. It's
not just historical, it's more mythological.
Yeah, guardian of all these things. I gotta say, when they go into like the secret underground, it just reminds me of Indiana Jones, because you got like the Holy Grail, and you got the Excalibur down there. It's introducing all that. The music sounds very similar to Wallace and Gromit. I'm not
I've not noticed that.
I was like, I did stop listening, but this is Wallace and Gromit. It's gotta be. So yeah, Justin starts explaining to Flynn, is a previous librarian, but he unfortunately died. So it's like, this is your role now. This is your purpose. This is your destiny. I was like, oh, okay, cheesy, all right. But I think
it's a TV movie. Come on.
It is, yeah, true. He goes, oh god, this is great. Mom's gonna be so happy. I'm gonna tell her. Then Excalibur just flings out the rock and just floats at his neck. I was like, oh, Excalibur's violent in this one. So yeah, you can't tell anyone.
That's kind of cool, actually.
I mean, it was so out of the blue. I was like, I thought it was meant to be kind of good, but Jesus. But he's like, yeah, you can't tell anyone. Like, just as like
Excalibur would only, like kneel and bow to King Arthur, surely.
Yeah, but the fact it just flies out the rock, it's like, nah, you're not telling anyone. It's like, alright, it's like, fair enough.
Don't you fucking dare.
It's like,
can you at least tell them that you have a job, even if you didn't tell them what the job is?
Because I think, like, you can't tell anyone that all of this is your job. So you just have to tell people you are just a librarian.
Yeah.
Oh, alright. Which I find funny though, because obviously he's like, oh yeah, my librarian. And I was like, oh, that sounds a bit boring. I was like, no, it's actually really cool. It's like, well, I can't explain why. It's like, oh, okay.
You have to sort of like catch your words. Just be like, so what did you do? Oh yeah, sword fight. It was in the book that I read recently.
So the old classics, Nothing.
It was the Holy Grail. I held the Holy Grail's history.
The Holy Grail of literature.
Yeah, the Holy Grail of literature is a very good book.
Shakespeare,
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
I met Dante Alighieri. It felt like I met Dante Alighieri when I read Dante's Inferno.
That'd be
just
quite a
look off to the side, just brushing his cheek, just like, ooh.
That'd be quite a meeting. There's also a jetpack in there.
Yeah.
I probably wasn't listening. Is it a specific jetpack or is it just a jetpack? It's just a cool.
I think what they say.
It's like
Obviously, it's been a couple of months since I've seen it, but I believe that they describe the jetpack as being the first working jetpack, and they've basically taken it away because the power is too great for people.
Is it a magic jetpack?
I think it's
Or
a
is it just a
scientific one.
jetpack?
Yeah, I think it's actually just an ordinary.
Why does that count as being their thing to look at then?
I think it's just for like artifacts of historical significance.
So he's like, oh yeah, historical Flynn. But it's the fact that Flynn just goes, you know what I'm going to do for my first day? I'm going to try the jetpack. He just starts flying. It's fact Justin's completely unfazed by it. He's like, oh, here we go again. So I think he's just flying around in the background, and I think he smashes into the Holy Grail. And he goes, oh God, it's my first day, I broke it. And then Justin's like, it's fine, it can just repair itself. Like, oh, it's the Holy Grail, isn't it? Yeah. That's his first day, so he goes back home. And he goes back home to his mum. He's like, oh, you got a new job, oh, what is it? And I'm a librarian. It's like, oh. It's like, oh, be happy for him.
In that instance, he's like, what you got a new job? What are you? I'm a librarian. Oh, that's nice. That definitely suits your capabilities. That's good for it.
Is that
Get you out of the house, and it suits what you're good at.
And you're not just...
Come on, you fucking stone cold bitch.
She just, honestly, I think, she's a funny character, but I think she just wants to be his wingman. He goes, I want my...
Job.
No, get laid.
Get your
please.
little cup.
That's the wrong type of job.
When I told you to go out and get a job, I meant go get a blowjob. Come on. It was obvious, Flynn.
It's like
that's why you were going. When you said you were getting a job at a library, I thought that's what you meant, because a librarian's too boring.
Why'd you go to the library for a certain job? But I can't be too specific.
I got a job offer, but I'm not being more specific than that.
But yeah, she's just never happy at anything in his life. Unless a girl is involved. I went, oh, you bitch. Then that night, though, some people break into the library, knock out Judson, poor bastard, and they break into the underground storage of all the artifacts, and they steal a spear. And that is it. Because
is it like a special
spear?
So
a spear, yes. So apparently this spear, so it's split into 3 parts.
Trident.
And then if you put it all together.
No, it's not a trident. It's just a fragment of a spear.
Fragment of a spear.
So they steal a fragment of this spear.
And basically, what happens is the person who has the spear becomes the most powerful person in the world, which I hate because it's so. It's just, I thought it would be something different.
Is it like a specific spear?
I think it's supposed to be a spear from biblical history.
So yes, I think it's I think was it used to kill Jesus Christ?
Oh yes,
Yes,
it was the spear that was used to stab Jesus Christ.
Yes,
that's what it is.
And then it somehow contained that power of
and I'm pretty sure that in the film it's not a Roman spear, which is confusing to me, but okay. They describe how powerful it is by saying, to show you how powerful this spear is, Hitler had only one of the fragments and he conquered most of Europe. And it's like,
That's so fucking stupid.
That's why he was obsessed with the supernatural, because he had part of a spear and was looking for the
soft power.
This is the fact it's part of a spear. I swear the fact there's still part. They have part of the spear. It just seems a bit of a.
They don't take over Europe.
They get to the glass.
They're American.
Case.
They don't want to go anywhere near it.
Yeah, gotta keep it in this boring library.
What was the library doing when Hitler had it?
To be fair,
I mean, during World War II, the librarians were probably some form of secret agent that worked above and beyond what they did. That's the kind of thing I imagine they would do.
Yeah, to be fair, I should look more about the history.
What did you say your name was, hey, comrade? My name is John. What do you do, John? I'm a librarian. The librarian here? I'll write that down. Interesting. Very interesting. Why have you got a gun for a librarian?
Laid books.
It's a bookmark.
Self-defense? Very well. You may pass. Go ahead. You're a librarian. No one likes the librarians. But farewell.
Just shoot
stamps the passport.
I'm never here.
I just love the idea that the stamp on his ID or like his passport just says SS on it. And when he gets back to America, they're like, "Why have you got an SS on your passport?" And he's just like,
Super speed.
"Self-defense gun." And he doesn't even shoot him; he just smacks him on the back of the head and runs.
This is a bit of a tangent.
Oh,
But you know what I think would be a really funny one of these, like, super powerful mythological weapon for this sort of thing would be David's sling that he takes out Goliath with, and then like the bad guy takes it and he's like, "How the fuck do I use a sling? what do I do with this? Like, I can't hit shit with this." Spinning it around, he just flies off like 45 degrees from his
We
target.
found this ancient religious artifact, and we're beset on all sides. I will uncover it. It is a sling. Minions, can any of you use a sling? I can use a slingshot. Not good enough. We need a sling. Sling. Any of you a sling?
Sling.
I'll give it a try.
I'll
And he
give-
just fires it like perpendicular to where he's aiming and takes out different minions.
Slam. I can use it. Slap. No, I can't. Sorry, Jim. Oh my God, Jim! He was my favourite minion. Now all we have left is his foot. I found the rest of Jim. Oh, never mind.
Power was just sling, man.
He ends up just using the sling, just putting the stone in it, and like safety pinning it together, and then just using it as a bludgeon, like a flail, smacking people with it. Fuck, I don't need to aim. Down you go. And it's like Sauron at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, where he's just launching people.
I would actually watch a version of that.
Oh man,
That'd be,
that'd be sick.
that sounds better than the spear, I'm not gonna lie. But you find out, because they find, I swear it's Justin, on the floor knocked out. Yeah, so they go onto a camera, they see a tattoo in one of the burglars. It's got like a
Mercenaries, I think, would probably be a better shout.
yeah,
I got one question. What was Excalibur doing during all this? I thought he was down there.
Yeah,
In the
just
spirit.
nothing. It threatens Flynn. The fact he's Excalibur.
I never thought
He
about
was
that.
so quick on the draw when Flynn was gonna
Share,
think about telling people.
just share the good news about getting news. You're like, no, you can't do that. But what the?
Nope.
It's a good
Dead.
point. What was he doing? Like, they knock out Justin. The mercenaries come in, smash. It's like, I'm off the clock. It's
He's like,
like,
well, they're not telling anyone, so it's fine.
it's like, it's like they're not going to tell anyone. They're secret about it.
Look, he's stuck inside of the rock golem. We've talked about this already.
He's clenching too hard.
I would leave, but I'm stuck inside of a rock golem, so you're going to have to do it yourself.
So I don't get paid enough
Just
to do
threatening
this.
them from across the room.
But you find out the mercenaries have a tattoo of like a serpent
Yeah.
on.
Is it
Oh,
serpent or a
naturally, of
scorpion?
course
I
they do.
can't remember.
It's a serpent.
It's always a
'Cause-
serpent or a scorpion.
Yeah, it's called Serpent Brotherhood. Yeah.
God.
I was like, great, the Brotherhood. And it reveals.
It always comes back to Cobra.
And can you guess who the leader is of this Brotherhood?
Turns out the entire time is that I'm just getting Foley to watch more stuff about cobras.
Yeah, and it's a really.
Cobra people.
If this is a link in this one, I swear to God, no. But can you guess who the leader of the Serpent Brotherhood is?
I'm not guessing, I know.
Who the leader of the Serpent Brotherhood is? Is it Adolf Hitler still?
Yes, Hitler has been alive
What?
all the time.
Hey!
No, it's not. It's not. I'm
Oh.
joking.
To be
Damn
fair,
it.
I think that would have been fucking ace if that was. It's
Great.
like,
He's come back to get the
They
pieces
thought
of the
they
spear
fired
back.
me.
So what do you think this is, Kung Fury?
just in cryo sleep, like Hitler, we've got the spear.
I love the idea. It's even better. And now you'll meet our leader of our gang. Hello, it is me again. I was the one who stamped the ID during WW.
Ich bin back.
I'm back. Hello,
Oh,
I love it
it's
already.
me, Adolf Hitler.
Guten Morgen.
Heil me.
I would
It's like the
actually-
producers.
I think that would be more of an interesting villain, to be honest. But no, the leader.
Hang on, is he doing Knights of the Museum? Kinda. At the museum.
Eh?
He's the
Kind of, yeah,
previous
to be honest.
curator.
Mm. Pretty much,
Which one
yeah.
came out first, though?
No, but the leader is.
This one came out a long time before
Oh.
that. I think
Ah.
Night Museum came out in 2008. This came out in 2002.
Yeah, this is a very, very early 2000s film. But the leader was the previous
You can tell.
librarian, who apparently died. And I love the actor who plays the previous librarian. He's
Yeah.
like he's from Twin Peaks. I think his name's Kyle. And he's so wasted in this film. He's so... he is the most generic bad guy. I think he has a certain charm to him, because I love the actor.
I mean, he's in charge of the Serpent Brotherhood. Were you expecting some, like, super charismatic leader?
I'd say anyone calling themselves Serpent Brotherhood should be really menacing, and there's so many things I hate about these villains. They're not even that good. So you find out the previous Librarian is the leader of this Brotherhood. He wants to collect all the sphere, like, parts of the sphere. So...
Can I ask a question just on that?
Go for it.
Is there a reason he didn't just take the spear while he was there?
This thing I don't get, because he knows the layout. He knows how to Gillian, and plus, he knocks out Justin anyway, so he's not...
I mean, if he was in there, that might be why Excalibur didn't attack, because Excalibur was like, the fuck?
No, but he wasn't
confused.
He wasn't in there, though. He was in an apartment.
Never mind then.
It was like, the cliche, big windows, dark place, like, great, here we go.
But he was in an apartment getting the kind of job his mum wanted him to get.
It's like, why can't I be more like him? It's like, taking charge. But also, if it's the previous Librarian, he must have surely known about the cameras.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing I fucking hate. It's like, oh, so that's how they see, like, the tattoos. I'm like, surely he would have known about the whole layout. Unless he just didn't care.
I love the idea that he just didn't know that they had cameras in there.
Maybe they installed it after he's like, oh, if he's died.
Maybe that's why he got fired.
But he didn't get fired. He died, apparently.
That's true.
We've installed some cameras. We'll tell him when he gets back. Oh, he's dead.
And he gets... So,
okay, well, we'll tell the next person that there's cameras. Fucking, I don't know. Shit. That sucks.
Yeah, but what I was actually asking with my question, though, why didn't he take it while he was still the Librarian working there?
I think it's because it would be easier to
Unless
trace
he's
back to
motivated
him.
afterwards?
Yeah, I think it's the fact
he
I'm guessing he had this whole plan. It's like, if they think I'm dead, they won't know I'm behind it all.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
So I will reveal myself later.
Which I really hate they did, because I'd rather they revealed it later on. Because the reason why I hate the reveal so early is like, I'm the villain. Like, okay, they just show for like the next hour. I'm like, what's the point? What was it? The woman and Justin, they're like, well, this is
I do want to break in here for just a moment, please, Foley. What? You have not explained who the woman is. Because...
the interviewer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not the interviewer. Flynn gets a companion to go with him.
I was getting to that part, Rhys. It hasn't got to that part yet.
I thought they don't reveal that he was the ex-librarian at that point, though.
What?
I was going to say, at the point that you got to, I don't think they reveal that he's the ex-librarian in the apartment.
It's because to the villain, like, because there's a portrait of him in the library. So that's how you know.
I don't remember that.
Well, it's a good thing I wrote some notes, isn't it? That's why I'm telling.
I'm sorry, I don't really pay attention.
Evidently. So yeah, because when he gets shown around, there's a portrait of the previous Librarian. So when he cuts to the villain, where he steps out from the shadow, like, oh, it's the ex-Librarian. Okay.
Should have just stayed in the shadow, mate.
That's what I'd rather want. I did look at the cast, so I was like, it's got to be the villain, isn't it? But it's the fact they just revealed it. It's like, oh, okay. But yeah, after Flynn and Justin look at the camera, it's like, well, this is a job for the Librarian. It's like, you expect me to go out? He goes, yeah, I think they're going to be going to like the Amazon rainforest. Like, I have no idea what to do. It's like, well, you got to learn it away. It's like, this is my first day. I'm like, you expect me to go out? Yeah, because if you don't get it, because this whole thing actually is on your shoulders, like, oh, like no pressure at all. So it's like, then she just show him up the door. It's like, yeah, it's like, you'll be fine. It's like, just make sure no one dies. It's like, great.
You'll be fine. Good luck. Don't die, or the world is doomed.
Yeah, it's like, great first day. Thank you. He's on the plane, and this is the moment where his female companion Nicole is revealed. Rhys.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because I think she is acting like she doesn't know him. Like, she's not a part of this whole scenario. So she just sits next to Flynn. Because he's reading the book. That's what he has to do. There's a book he has to learn how to speak bird language. Yeah. So he's like, because I think he said...
From an Amazonian tribe, I believe.
Yes.
Where they sort of like had more bird-themed gods or something.
Because that's what Justin throws at him before they kick him out, like, throw him out. It's like, yeah, you have to learn all this as well. I was like, other people learned this over, like, a span of centuries. You want me to learn this in a matter of, like, 24 hours? Like, yeah. It's like, how? How do I do that? So he's just, like, got sticky notes everywhere. She's just sitting next to him. And I think he tries to do, like, the whole whole, I don't know, charm thing, like where he kind of looks at it, he's like, oh, do you know your face is, it's like, oh, you're going to tell me that it's perfectly symmetrical and it's the beautiful thing you ever see. He's like, okay. It's like, but it's the face, she's like, yeah, every nerd thing is like, oh my god. So I thought she's a bit of a bitch. And then I think she's like, look, I'd rather just not speak to you for the whole flight. It's like, okay, fair enough.
You came over here.
I know, it's like, fucking hell. It's like, he's just trying to be nice. It's like, yeah, I got perfect faith and all the nerds want me. I just want to speak to you. It's like, oh, I just want to speak bird. Like, this is a bit, but I like.
That's a nice pun.
Reject woman, become Birdman.
Yeah.
Later on, it reveals the pilots try and kill Flynn. Then Nicole just starts like knocking them all out. But then it turns out other people on the plane were all part of the Serpent Brotherhood. Like, oh, damn, okay, this is getting intense. And like,
is this just a commercial flight, boy?
yeah, just a normal flight. Well, you think
okay.
you think it'd be a normal flight? No, because this is it. So the female villain, like the minion who works for the ex-Librarian, I hate her character so much. It's because she just keeps going. Like, I think she knows Flynn because I don't know if Flynn's done some public work, but she's like, oh, I'm a real big fan, like, why did I do this? Like, she seems to have like this weird fascination with Flynn, like, you're the villain, like, you're trying to kill him, like, and this leads to nothing at all. This leads to nothing. So that's the one thing I hate.
Not even a distraction towards the end of, don't you like me? Yes, I do. Bang.
No, I kind of like the little action scenes. It's cheesy. It's really cheesy. It's like a mixture of Indiana Jones and Romance in the Stone kind of film. Michael Douglas, because it's the fact I like the fact it's the main character like getting pushed into these outside scenarios. So when they're on the plane, Nicole is pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie. She's like, she just opens the door. It's like, it's like, I don't know what's going on. It's like, those are all bad people, so we're gonna jump out of the plane. It's like, it's like, I don't feel good for doing that. But she literally pushes him out. And he just didn't have a parachute on. I was like, okay, that's a bit of a dick move. Like, he's never done this before. Luckily enough, she jumps out, she has a parachute, so she managed to grab him and then land somewhere in the Amazon rainforest. But this is where I found the film to be quite fun. Because obviously, they're trying to get to know each other. Well, he's trying to get to know her. But he's like, look, I don't care. It's like, this is just my job. I'm trying to protect you. Like, you're the librarian. The last one died. Look, let's just get the job done. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, fair enough. And she's like, I don't know where we are. It's like, well, apparently memorise the geography of like the maps. It's like, well, if I can get to a high tree, I can pretty much guess where we are. It's like, okay, there's a tree there. It's like, and he just tries to climb a tree for so long. Like, it's the fact he does like, we've all done it as a kid. Like, no, you just grab onto something and you do the really quick, like the quick feet. So, she's just there like, oh wow, yeah. It's like, this is gonna be fun. It's just really great visual humour. I love it. Like, and it just cuts to him like finally getting to the top, like all sweaty. He's like, okay, all right, okay, I know where we are now. Then he just slowly pans, and she's already up the tree, like just fine. So it's like great, okay. He is pretty much like a child, really. Like he's still got like a student life, and now he's into the Amazon rainforest. So I kind of like the dynamic between them. She's very deadpan, stone cold. Like, no, this is the job. Let's just do it. Yeah, I like the fun bits, like, because they comes across the bridge, like a really like old bridge. It's like a waterfall. And Flynn's like, nah, like we can't walk across this. Like that's very flimsy. Like that cannot take our weight. And Nicole just jumps on it. It's like, oh, I was like, this woman's insane. And he's like, oh, I guess it can take our weight. It's like, okay, I don't like this. So they're just walking across. He's still trying to ask her questions and like get to know her. And she does open up a little bit, so it's kind of sweet. But then this is where I just love Flynn because he's such a wacky character. He goes like halfway across the bridge, like, I just can't believe how wrong I was. I can't believe it just took all our weight. So I was jumping up and down. He just breaks through. I'm like, oh god, this guy. He's just an idiot. Of course, like over, as you can imagine, the whole bridge starts to collapse. Like, okay, we need to run now. Can I say the CGI for that looks really funny? Like their running does not match like the bridge. It looks very like Shrek-esque. So like that just looks very off. It's like, so I found it more funny for the wrong reason. To be fair, for a TV movie, it doesn't look that bad. But yeah, that's what I thought, because they had to set up Cam and like rest. That's when she started to open up, like, look, I was the protector of like the last librarian. He died under my protection, so I don't want to get like personal. So yeah, I think their chemistry's quite sweet though. Like they play with each other really well.
It's a very classic funny man, straight man combo, I would say.
Yeah,
where the protagonist is the funny man, because normally the protagonist would be the straight man.
That's what I found really interesting, because that's why like Romancing the Stone came to mind. So in that, it's about a female writer going out into the world, but she has all these allergies. She's like, the story she writes, she's now experiencing it. So like the fact in this is actually the man that's kind of like the damsel in distress, and it's the woman like, look, just just do what I say, and you won't die. So I kind of like that. Then they come across a tribe, which I was worried for them because I thought it was a cannibal tribe, but it turns out, because the both of them were just shitting themselves, like, okay, I don't know what to do in this situation. I think we could die. But then one of the tribe's people spoke. Then Flynn replies, and Nicole's like, oh, can he speak their tongue? And he just turns around like, oh, they're Portuguese. I just overthought it. Like, I thought we were going to die, but it's all good, don't worry. So they're actually quite a loving little tribe, and they're like they're dancing around like, oh, this is not how I thought it was going to go. And they're staying like a little place, and there's only one bed. And he goes, oh, it's like there's only one bed. It's like, Nicole's like, okay, you have the floor there. It's like, oh. At that point, it's just the fact I just thought Flynn's just a horny bastard. He is just trying every opportunity. It's like, oh, just leave her alone. Like, Jesus Christ.
You don't understand his mother.
I need to do this for mother. I need to make mother proud. The fact that if he told his mum, like, look, I went to the Amazon rainforest, came like a tribe. She still didn't care. She's like, okay, but have you got?
Yeah, but did you get a girlfriend?
Yeah, did you get laid though? So no, it's like, oh,
all I want to know is, did you get the bones home? Like, no, and she's there like, well, I
got the bones at the door.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it was like the following scene the next morning. Flynn is not in his room, but she starts shitting herself. It's like, oh no, like, where's he gone? Like, another librarian dead on my watch. I don't like this. But it's fine. He's just with the kids, like, you know, like, teaching them stuff. Like, oh, that's actually quite sweet. Then the villains come in and start shooting. I'm like, oh, fuck, okay. So it's like a cool little chase scene. And this scene I found hilarious. I should have found it frustrating, but I did find it hilarious, though. Because bear in mind, he has this book with him that he needs to translate to somehow get into this temple, like, to get to the spear. The chase leads into them jumping into a waterfall. So that's book and water do not mix well. And the reason I found it hilarious, because I was thinking that book is definitely getting damaged, because there's no way that book is waterproof. But there's a scene after the chase. They actually get to some land. And it's like, you know, they're shaking off all the water. He gets the bag the book is definitely meant to be in, and he just rinses it. I'm like, now I know this film is about powerful spear, but I'm like, I don't think a book could do that. It's just like, I swear he just not take the book out. He's like, yeah, just rinse the book. I was like, and I checked, I went, he does not have another separate bag on him, and that is definitely the one the book. It's just the way he does it.
And he gets the bag and just squeezes.
Yeah, he just literally just squeezes it, then...
I never noticed that.
It's one of those, like, I should be angry, but I'm like, that's just too funny. It's like, just... And then, because she's like, oh, I don't know where to go now. It's like, well, because if I get my book out, I'm like, he just gets the book out. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
There's no ambiguity whatsoever. It definitely was in there.
It just definitely was. I was like, that is some magic book. Like, you rinse it and it's fine after a multiple waterfall. It's like...
You know what would have been really funny? If they did that in one take. Or in one shot, supposedly.
That
so
would be insane.
And then he gets the book out and it's like, hang on, what?
I didn't know it was in this bag.
It seem intentional.
That's like a Mel Brooks sketch.
I was just like, because my mind was already like, that book is definitely gonna be rare. Like, I was looking at the bag already. That book is... I can see why they keep a guard this book. That's insane. But
they need more of this kind of book. It's a very good one.
Get yourself a
rinse bag.
Rinse your own book. they finally come to this temple where they had to get the part of the spear. Again, I like the visual jokes in this because they get to the front door. Oh, there's some stones on here, so we press these in a certain order. She's like, okay, do it then. Press, like, we're wasting time now. I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, okay, before I do it, you need to step back though. He's like, why? I went, just in case it's booby traps. Like, okay. And so he's just like, he just does it quickly. He just shields himself. He's like, oh my god. And then, like, it's like nothing's happening. So the fact that both look around, I was like, oh, okay, I suppose something's meant to happen. Then, like, trap doors just open beneath them. And so I was like, okay, that's got it funny. So I like that.
Something was supposed to happen.
And then, like, they get dropped into this little dungeon, but right in front of them is, like, a massive black hole, like a empty void. And, like, they're looking around. It's like, so where we need to get to is over that hole. It's like, but how do we do that? It's like, I have no idea. It's like, but then the wall behind them starts moving. I'm like, oh, damn, this is getting intense. This is where, before, I was like, this has got to be Indiana Jones moment. It's got to be. She goes, what is it? It's like, we have to make it to there. Like, he points to, like, in the hole, like, the opposite. It's like, I don't trust that. So it's like, we have to do it. It's like, it's got to be a leap of faith, isn't it? Like, from Indiana Jones. So as the wall is closing in, they just jump. And lo and behold, they're floating. And it's like, oh, optical illusion. I'm like, yeah. It's a leap of faith. So I was like, that's it. That's definitely inspired by Indiana Jones. It's gotta be. It's like, yeah,
100%.
100%. The leap of faith. It has to be. And then they finally make it into, like, they make it to the other room. They see the sphere from a distance. But as they're about to make their way through, they set up multiple routes of, like, arrows, flaming arrows, these big 2 swinging axes.
Oh yeah, classic.
But I was like, okay, so I'm guessing they're gonna try and just dodge them all. But what I generally love about this scene, and I did not expect to love this, like, they start listening to, like, they go, oh, there's a pattern going on. So, okay, so they're going to try and time it, which they do. But they say, oh, but it's a certain beat. And they start singing, like, they start singing a tune. And, oh, it's the waltz. It's the same tune as the waltz. I'm like, they're not going to do what I think they're going to do, are they? and so he's like, he goes, okay, well, it looks like we have to dance our way through. He's like, what? Yeah, I don't know how to dance. So it's okay. Nick, I was like, I'll take the lead. And they start, like, waltzing through. I was like, this is actually a pretty cool idea. They're just dodging through all the things, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and they're just dancing. It's like, oh, it's like his first dance. He is, like, growing up. His mum would be, imagine saying that to mum, I waltzed with a girl through death traps. Like, that is insane. But I was like, that's such a really cool scene. I actually really like that. Finally, they do make it to the sphere. But you can tell how low budget the film is because there's just, like, a lot of low budget props. But, what was it? They finally get to it, and Nicole's about to touch it. He's like, no. Like, I think he just slaps it, like, hand away. She's like, you better have a very good reason for doing that. It's like, well, these places do tend to have booby traps protecting their sacred things. Like, she's like, well, you better be right. Otherwise, if you slap my hand for nothing, I swear to God. So, like, he just picks up some gold. He tries to throw it at his feet. He just misses. He's like, oh. Nicole's like, oh, great. Yeah, that's good. He's like, I just got the timing wrong. But when he throws it again, this massive boulder just fucking comes down. I was like, okay, maybe it was a good thing she didn't touch it. I thought the whole sequence was really fun, though. Like, and then they finally do grab the sphere safely, uncrushed, and they go back.
You'd hope so, or the film would be over then.
That would be quite if that's how it ended, I generally wouldn't be mad. I think
and
that
just 40 minutes of silence.
Well, definitely, opposite expectations, so I give them credit
10
for
out of
it.
10. Best film.
Best film. I'm going to flesh out the ending a bit more. I just crushed it. They exit the temple, and lo and behold, the villains are just right on the front doorstep saying, you just did our job for us.
Casually.
You bastards. So they bring them to a camp, and then that's where the ex-librarian is. And Nicole's like, oh my God, what she thought she saw was the ex-librarian getting dragged out where they were staying and getting beheaded. Like, oh, okay, that would be very traumatic. And he's there like, fooled you. It's like, oh, you're such a dick. Well, I'm evil, so what do you think? And then basically the final part of the spear, is it like, I think it's like Shangri-La? Like
yeah,
the mountain.
Shangri-La is a very, very famous mythical place in the mountains.
Yeah, so that's a fly in that helicopter.
Just a quick side note, I love the context of there's an ancient spear of Christian mythology. Where is it?
Shangri-La.
In an ancient place of Chinese mythology.
And also the Amazon.
Yeah, the Amazon.
Yeah, Yeah, why is it in the Amazon in the first place?
I want to know who planted these parts. Like, so
The other thing I want to know is, where was the third one then? Because if they were separated in an ancient way...
Atlantis, probably.
Oh, God.
Zeus was guarding it. But it's just like, it is such a weird thing, like, to introduce these different cultures where it has nothing to do with their culture. It's like, they're like, look, man, just take it. We don't have nothing to do with it. It's like we're not
What makes it even more entertaining for me is just like, here, proof that the Christian God is real. And to rub it in, we're going to put it in a place dedicated to somebody else's god.
Because that brings me to the next, because when they go to Shangri-La, they're strolling in, and the monk's like, oh, sweet, people. Would you not be...
visitors, neat.
Like, would you not be a bit interested, like, why are you coming to our temple? Like, why are you coming down here? They go into the temple, the monk's like, oh, wait,
And then it's like, people, sorry, we've been trapped here since like 50s, 60s-ish. Could you tell me, did he ever release a follow-up to The Fellowship of the Ring? For I have read that book 75 times alone.
75 times.
Did he ever do the continuation? It's like, I can do you better. He did 2 continuations. It's like, oh
My God.
What's
finally.
more? That's Silmarillion.
It's like, fuck this temple, let's go, lads.
They replace the spear with the Silmarillion.
That'd be the best way to do it. Just like the Indiana Jones hand movement thing of this submarine instead of the spear.
And then she's like, fuck, and he cuts himself with the spear.
And the submarine glows with powers like, oh, that was the...
Actually, yeah, I want to see that now. They do try in the swap. They get distracted because they cut their finger on it, and they just like and they look at the thing they're holding, which is supposed to be on the pedestal, and they're like, place it.
Bollocks.
And it's too late, obviously.
We gotta go.
hang on a minute.
I think the villain, I'm gonna call him Kyle because I just know that's his actor's name.
Yeah.
I think that one of the monks like, oh, like you hear for the spears, like just pulls a gun. It's like, yeah. It's like, okay, like go ahead. And I think he just gets Flynn's like, look, like open it now. I was like, okay. I felt a bit cheesy because you saying this though about the whole like a Christian, religion item in Shangri-La. The final bit is inside a Buddha, like a statue Buddha. The writing on the Buddha's belly is like God's true name. Flynn's like, oh shit, okay. Kyle's like, oh, bit stuck, are we? No. I bet he just touches the letters. I think it spells out the words like M-E. He's like, oh, me. It's like, because God's in all of us. I'm like, okay. Okay. What was it? He managed to get the sphere. Kyle's like, well, I don't need you now because I've got everything and your boy's here. And then I think Nicole takes it. It's like, well, so okay, go and get it then. She just throws it. And the whole temple starts collapsing. I forgot why. I think as soon as they take the sphere, like the last part, the whole temple starts crumbling. Like, why does this always happen in these films? Like, why not put it somewhere else?
My home! The place I was going to read the 2 Towers and Return of the King.
It's like, the fact the monk's like, oh, bollocks, I have to find somewhere else to go now, lads.
Concept of them going, they're like, don't take that ancient artifact. Why not? It is of too great power.
Is it dangerous?
No, it'll set off the self-destruct mechanism, and I quite like my house.
So I've got my whole Lord of the Rings connection right here. I don't want to lose them. That just starts happening. And then Paul's like, oh no, the sphere. Flynn's like, oh, but why'd you do that? Oh, little swapsy. So she pretty much tricked him. Like, I've actually got the sphere. Okay, good, because the whole journey would have been pointless if you just did that. And so they managed to get into a helicopter and then fly far away. They stay in a hotel. That's where Flynn and Nicole get a bit to chemistry with each other.
He finally fulfills his mother's wishes.
Oh, man.
That's one way. That is definitely one way to put it, yeah. So he's like, that's my general goal. I don't care about the sphere. I just got laid. But then he wakes up and she's gone. Oh. He also checks underneath the bed. Just sphere's gone. And I put in my notes, Nicole is a bitch.
Why did she steal the spear again?
Because she's actually working for Kyle.
Yes.
But can I just say as well, above my Nicole is a bitch note, I actually put the mom is happy he's getting laid. I completely forgot to put that. Oh, this another Judson thing, because he is just magic without any explanation. He appears on TVs.
Yep.
Yeah.
How? Even Flynn's like, he's gotta tell me how he does that. Like, I want to know now. How does he do it? But Flynn...
I love that it's not explained. I think that's just funny. Just the idea of this loads of ridiculous powers. It's like, what the fuck?
Like, how does he do it? How is Judson doing this? Because that was it. Because Flynn runs down into the lobby. He's like, has anyone seen a really hot woman I was just with? And he's got like a towel around him. And everyone's like, this kid looks mental. Then Judson pops up on the TV, interrupting these people's shows, like, a bit rude, but okay. So I think that they realise where they're going. I think it's to the university that Flynn was at. And so Judson meets him there. And he finds out that Nicole was actually protecting Flynn in a weird way. Like, so she was acting like a betrayer, but I think she knew what she was doing. It's a very weird way to do it. She's not really
something that I think you haven't explained.
Oh, God.
Is, so just at the very beginning of the film, they're in a pyramid reconstruction. Like in this university building or museum, they have created this 1-for-1 perfect pyramid reconstruction, and they're the first ones in the world to have done that.
Yes.
Both using the original techniques.
Large.
Yeah, it's an entire pyramid within a building.
But yeah, so they go back to university, and basically that whole links to the sphere, doesn't it? That's what generates the power to the sphere. Like,
yes, what I believe the plan is that there's a point during like a certain solar event in which a beam of light will enter the pyramid and then charge it with power, which is even weirder when you think about it, because that's you're adding another mythology that is effectively capable of harnessing divine power. And is that really divine power, or is it just essentially most mythical objects are just solar powered through a very specific means?
Yeah, I think this is why my brain kind of switched off a bit. I went, they just keep adding so many different things. I'm like, okay, so
because the Egyptian mythology is even older than the Christian mythology as well.
It just doesn't make any sense, does it?
So it's just adding levels on levels. Like Aztecs, sure, they existed after Christians, I think, or there might be the Incans. I think it was the Aztecs after. And it's an Aztec temple. I think it was the Aztecs who fought against the conquistadors.
Yeah.
And everybody else around.
Well, yeah, and everybody else, but you know, what are you going to do?
Free for all.
You haven't got fucking... You haven't got like any games on your phones yet. What else are you going to do? Yeah, they haven't got the ability to play Ace Lightning on the PC.
What can you do? Fight everyone. Blood sacrifices. That's what you got.
That's what they had back in their day. Like, I wish we had that. But now we've got TikTok.
Back in my day, we used to sacrifice 17 people on the mountain. Now all these young'uns do is scroll on TikTok all day.
Oh, bloody TikTok.
All right. Calm down, great granddad.
Ancient granddad.
Ancient granddad's at it again, telling us all about blood rituals and sacrifices. I'll hook you kids on it next time.
Hey, granddad, I got a job. Yeah, but have you done any blood rituals?
It's like, ancient granddad. No one cares he's a librarian.
Librarians are cool, as you can see from this film.
Yeah, definitely.
But Justin reveals himself to be, he's like an ex-military, like, pops open his shirt, he's got all his chains, like, oh, damn, like, Justin means business. But then, as they sneak into the university, you know, the villain, get off his weird, I think he gave it for speech, it's very cliche. But they got all these people, like, you got like a cult there. And one of the members... it's Flynn's professor! But oh, you evil bastard! This makes it more interesting, actually. The fact he's like, oh, we don't want you involved. So I was like, that's quite interesting.
Because at the time, he wasn't even a librarian. It was just, I don't want you involved because I don't like you.
Yeah.
And what it also technically means is that professor is the person who gets the ball rolling on the downfall of the entire Serpentine Brotherhood.
He's literally the catalyst for the entire film. Because that's the thing I love, because in this final part, you got multiple fights going on. You got Justin just fucking kicking people in the nuts, karate chopping. No one's touching him. Like, he just goes in, knocks him out. It's like, okay, Justin is a bad motherfucker. And then you got Minion Woman, who is a big fan of Flynn. She's fighting Nicole. They just bat each other. Oh, that fight's really bad.
I think when we watched that, I'm pretty sure, when I watched it with Rosie, we were just there like, oh, fucking cat fight, of course.
It literally, Justin's fighting looks more badass than that. And, like, these women are younger and more flexible. And he's just like, yeah, fuck you. Like, you know, slapping each other. I was like, oh, come on. Like, Nicole has been a badass the entire time. And she, like, at least give her...
Like, at least give him, like, a sword fight or something like that. Something that's cooler.
But no...
It would be kind of funny if it was, like, pretty weak sort of, you know, like stage fighting for most of the film, and then those two, it's just this like fucking brutal smackdown versus each other, where they're like smashing faces into walls.
Proper gritty.
Do like wrestling, just
dread level of just brutal violence and slow mo.
Rocky meets Dread, like.
They grab ancient swords that are from display cases and start hacking away at each other.
Just like the fact they got such a weak fight, but then like, what was it? Flynn actually has a fight with his professor. I think he just punched him in the face. Hi, Professor. Took some of your advice. Going great. And he's just like punching and like the professor got a bloody nose. I'm like, oh, that is satisfying. Fair play. So that's concluded very quickly. The cat fight. That was it. Nicole knocks her out, and she just goes, "Get your own, nerd." I'm like, okay, sure, right. It's not as bad as they thought. Like they thought that sounded bad. I was like, oh, that did not go off well at all. Again, the spear is just so anticlimactic though, because soon as the moon eclipse, whatever, activates the pyramid, which generates the power, all it does is you stab someone, you put them into the beam of light, and then they dissolve. I'm like, that just seems like the shittiest ability ever. I thought, like...
And somehow Hitler used a third of that to take over.
That must took a lot of juice to pull in there.
Maybe it's like placebo. He just thought he was really powerful, so...
He's just mental. That's what it was. Like, the sphere wasn't even activated at that point. He's like, the sphere!
Yeah, so powerful.
It's so powerful. I'm not deluded, I swear. It's like...
Yes, and Fiora, yeah.
Is it like Ruber from Quest for Camelot had a better ability? As soon as that sword joined with him, that actually gave him ability. With this spear's like, oh no, you have to actually put people into the beam. Like,
you know, it's bad when your power scale is lower than Ruber.
I know. I'm like, Ruber's 10 times better. Again, why do villains in these films kill their own men? I don't get it. I was like, why not just kill someone?
I think it's to show off how crazy they are, how powerful they are, and how deluded they become. Like, just delusional madmen. But at the same time, why not just do that to the person who's trying to stop you?
Yeah, like you...
Not the person who's trying to help you.
Without them, you wouldn't have got this far.
There are two people I can stab. You, the person who has been thwarting me this entire time. The person who I despise the most. Or you, the man who has been loyal to me for years and years and years. You have always had my side. Get in the fucking beam
That's
of light.
Suspicious. Die.
No, this is
Get in the beam of light.
You pathetic bastard. Gosh.
No one's that loyal.
No one's that loyal.
Sorry, a bit sus there.
I should stab you, but it'd be really funny if I stabbed you.
To be fair, yeah.
Just in his head, just they're like, you see, I work on the basis of what's funny at the time. You, not funny. Makes sense. You, very funny. Let's do it.
Like, this is going to be a great gag. They're not going to see this coming, are they?
And everyone's like, I can't believe you did that. It's like, you're not laughing as hard as I thought you would be.
It'd be funny. We're evil. Laugh. But it's so annoying because this is before the whole fight started breaking out. And Nicole is literally right there. Right beside the man who he kills. Like, why not just kill her?
Kick him in the nuts. Kick him in the nuts.
Kick him in the nuts. Oh, that just angered. Like the fact he killed his right hand man. But I really enjoyed when Flynn and Kyle are fighting and like Kyle's just trying to stab him with the sphere. Obviously, you learn a lot from Nicole because he was just kicking his ass. But it's a callback I did for Justin says to Flynn at the very beginning, because when Justin asks, "Oh, what the gift is like to be a librarian." And I think, yeah, he said something like, it's not about what you know up here in your head, it's what you know in your heart. I'm like, I think Kyle, as he's trying to stab him with the sphere, I suppose he's like, why don't you just die? Because, Kyle, it's not what you know up here, just punch him across the face. it's like, but it's what you know in here. It just kicks him in the stomach. The sphere just levitates to Flynn and went, oh, that's pretty badass. Again, I don't know what it is about these structures, but the pyramid starts to break down, and then the golden.
Okay, now that one I can explain. The
pyramid wasn't even being held up by it, right? It was the other way around.
No, that I can explain. Basically, at the beginning of the film, he's talking about the specific blocks that are part of the pyramid. That he says if these blocks were to get destroyed. Then the entire pyramid would collapse. Which sounds like such a throwaway line, but that's how he basically wins the day at the end, by getting the Kyle character to stab him. He dodges out of the way and smashes these really important blocks of the pyramid.
Yes. The way he says it sounds cheesy. It's like, like these bits obviously needed to be there, but now you just destroyed them. It's like, oh fuck.
That's just one of the memorable bits that I remembered from it.
I can't believe I forgot about that, because I thought that was a really cool thing. And like, Kyle's just on the floor, And then he gets crushed by the top bit, which was like all made of gold. I was like, oh, that's one way.
Capstone, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, the capstone.
Yeah, literally just flat. I'm like, that is fucking badass. I'm not gonna lie. Oh no, can I say it's a very quick scene during their fight. Kyle actually stabs him with the spear, and Flynn shits himself. He's like, I don't feel anything. And then Cole pulls it back out. He's like, oh, it's the blunt side. And just puts the sharp bit towards. I mean, that's actually really funny.
Huh?
So they're both like, something's meant to happen. It's like, oh, sorry, that's the one. It's like, oh shit. That's brilliant. I really admired that. And they saved the day. Look, not bad for Flynn's first job. But yeah, at the end, I think Flynn is having like a little catch up with his mum. Oh, so House is just like, oh, mum, being a librarian, so excited. It's like, I don't see. If you say so. She goes, oh, but you mentioned this girl Nicole, who I've not met yet. It's like, well, like she does exist. Then she comes speeding over a hedge, like into like, in front of the calf, on a bike, like on a it's like comes off the motorcycle. The mum's like, what the fuck is going on? Flynn's like, oh, sorry, Mum, I do have to go now. Like, being a librarian is quite a busy job. Some ninjas are trying to kidnap a time machine. So I think it goes time travelling ninjas. I went, that has got to be in the next film. That has to be.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Why did you do that, Rhys? Why did you ruin my expectations? But
crushed his dream.
Just like the pyramid crushed that poor Kyle. But then the mum's just there like, I don't know how to react to this. And then they go, yeah, bye, Mum, busy job. And then they just speed off down the road. Like, that's one way to end the film. That's a crazy film. It's such a weird film.
I was going to say, do you have the most hated character? Is it the one who's there like, oh, I love your work?
She added nothing at all.
Chuck her in the bin.
Because
Chuck her in the bin.
The one reason it annoyed me.
I think they did that just so they could have that one line during their cat fight.
I think she generally did have like a weird obsession with Flynn, but it's the fact it adds nothing.
Would you recommend the film to someone else? Because
I think I would. Yeah, it's just if you're in a mood just to watch a film. For me, I just enjoyed watching it. I wasn't thinking too hard about it. I'm like, oh, okay. I think the characters are really, like, the actors did a really good job, surprisingly. Because with TV movies, it could be so hamped up and all that. But the actors seemed very, for what they got given, did a really good job.
So, I'm going to say, describe the film in 4 words for you.
In 4 words... How to rinse a book.
How to rinse a book. And Sam, we'll go back to your one.
Oh, yes.
Before we do the ratings. Well, what were your 4 words? Did you come up with them?
How about that object has words?
Beautiful. I couldn't have put it better myself.
That object has words. Perfect. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well we'll do Heaven's Vault rating first. Out of 5 for the story, what do you reckon?
Can I just do something I remembered about it?
Oh, yep.
Well, Foley was speaking. Something reminded me. I don't remember what it was. I think it was just that it was a serpent gang, to be honest. But in Heaven's Vault, at one point you can buy a gecko from a market planet. And the way you buy things in that game is just by trading off historical artifacts that you found. It's like, oh yeah, have this silver relic from 2,000 years ago. That's not enough. Okay, how about this slightly damaged brute?
How about the Mona Lisa?
How about that? Okay, yeah, a gecko. Wonderful, thank you. I shall call it Huang, which is the name of that one guy back at the uni. And then the gecko runs off. I was like, oh, great, wonderful. But then, like, an hour later, I was on the ship, and I was like, hang on a sec. It's the gecko on the door frame there. How the fuck did that get there?
I actually had something in the review about that. So.
Oh,
that's a point. When I was talking to Rosie about this, we were talking about the gecko.
Yeah.
It came up for some reason. And we both did the exact same thing when we bought the gecko, which just start taking screenshots of our character of the gecko on our shoulders.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
You're like, gecko! It's gone.
It's gone.
It's back again. It's gone.
Yeah.
Well, what do you reckon for story then?
Okay,
Unfortunately,
story...
you can't count the gecko as part of the story. It's sad.
Nah.
You
Either way, I'm
person.
including the world building and all that stuff as part of the story.
Yep.
So I'm giving it a 4. The story is the majority of the game, and it's done pretty well, I'd say.
I put a guess for the gameplay. Do you want to give it a go?
I went with a 2, which is my below average.
I was wrong. I thought you were going to put 1.
Oh, no. It's what's there is enjoyable. The as in the language stuff's enjoyable.
Yep.
What lets it down is the lack of variety. How long it takes to walk anywhere, and how long it takes to sail. If there was like more to the sailing, that would definitely help. If you're sailing somewhere you've already been, you can effectively just tell your robot to sail and skip any little river bits that you've actually been on.
Ah, that's useful.
So yeah, you don't have to go back and forth the entire way constantly. Yeah.
Cool. And finally, design.
Design. I went with a 4 for design because it looks nice. It's got a pretty strong style.
So 10 out of 15.
Oh, very positive.
That's not bad.
It's above average. As the average would be about 7.5, I would say.
Mm.
So, Librarian's Quest for the Spear. What do you reckon of the story, Foley?
Story, I'll give it probably a 3. It's entertaining story, but it's not a great one. It's just okay.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just an adventure.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
Just a fun adventure in it. Yeah.
The design?
The design. 2 or 3, I'll probably give it. I'll give it a 3 probably. It just
3.
It's
Cool.
just you can tell it's a TV movie. It's like they didn't really have much to work.
Yeah.
It's like you can just tell like some sets designs. The waterfall, like the bridge, I'm like, yeah, you can just tell.
Yeah, the waterfall. Well, the bridge I think was probably the worst.
Yeah,
part,
it's a bit janky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
You say it's a B movie.
Janky-B movie.
Oh dear. And finally, character.
Character. I'll give it a 4 because
Interesting.
I actually really like the characters. Not the villains, but I like the main 2. I don't know, they just had a really fun chemistry and they kind of kept the story fun. I think any other actor, they don't think they would have done it as like, I don't know, it's like with TV movies you just know it's not going to be great, but the acting was actually pretty decent, surprisingly. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, once again, that is a 10 out of 15. So, agreed.
Oh shit.
Well,
Nice.
both of your things 10s out of 15.
Oh.
Cool. So,
High five.
let's go on to some of my reviews.
Hey, B. Yeah. Oh, here we go.
This review is from a website I found called Animal Archaeology by Dr. Alex Fitzpatrick. Some of the reviews, they don't have a rating, but I took some extracts of just interesting bits, which is, Heaven's Vault is very much concerned about a specific archaeological approach, and perhaps that is what makes it a more imperfect depiction of archaeology. That said, I also understand that this decision is based on developing easy-to-understand gaming mechanics, and I doubt anyone playing the game outside of the discipline wants to run lipid analysis on shards as part of the fun. Or maybe they do. I don't know what the youth enjoy.
I will say that, yeah, the only real thing you did as an archaeologist was decipher languages. Everything else the robot did. Does all the analysis and everything.
Heaven's Vault may not be an exact replica of what it is like to be an archaeologist, but I don't think that's the point at the end of the day. The game perfectly illustrates why many of us become archaeologists, as well as many ethical issues that we sometimes face along the way, as we reflect upon our role in interpreting the past and how it ultimately impacts the present and the future. And frankly, as a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to a video game collectibles, I'm very excited to undertake my 3rd playthrough in the near future and continue to build up my dictionary of ancient script.
Yeah.
Yep, and that was by Dr. Alex Fitzpatrick.
Oh, it's a doctor. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was from a professional doctor. That was, I thought, was just interesting because it was a professional archaeologist giving a review, and I just thought, oh, that's just an interesting review. Next, I've got a Steam review called Kai, K-Y-E. You're faced with the first ever hieroglyphic from ancient Egypt. Your 2 options are Egypt and beef jerky. Where do the 2 options come from? Nowhere. The game is holding your hand. And the final comment is just slow-ass walking.
Yeah. I mean, I also brought up the random words put out from nowhere thing, but also like what else can they really do other than make you literally just decipher a language from scratch, which no one's going to do.
I've got one final review. It says Heaven's Vault, a combination of puzzles, choices matter, space exploration, mystery solving, language deciphering, and flying a weird Da Vinci spaceboat. I finished the game 13.6 hours at the start of 2022. I don't have a great memory of all the specifics that happened in it, but I'll do my best to give my thoughts on the game and the things that stick in my mind from my playthrough. Disclaimer, I apologise if I get some of the facts wrong.
Can I just say one thing?
Yep.
13.3 hours. We were almost bang on with our times.
Nice. I won't explain the plot of the game, as I assume Sam has already explained this, but I'll go through one of the few things of note. One of the first things I remember thinking of the game was the choice...
Hang on.
One of the first things I remember thinking of the game was the choice of a voice for protagonist. A kind of down-to-earth British Cockney (in brackets) accent was not what I was expecting, but I quite liked it. Pretty music. I like smiley face. The sailing parts reminded me of Treasure Planet for some reason, and this is the point that you brought up a moment ago. At one point, you can trade things for a gecko. I may have given some very important objects away for this gecko, but if you give me the opportunity for a little lizard boy, I will happily give away important plot-relevant artifacts. It hangs out on your shoulder, immediate screenshot, and then immediately runs away. I was devastated. I wanted to restart at this point. There's no save, so you are stuck with your decisions. Thankfully, the gecko is hiding in your ship, and you'll see it chilling around when you're inside of it. Phew! I liked Six and Alia's back and forth. They grew to like each other, I think, although they had a lot of banter. At some point, close to the end of the game, there is some kind of ancient altar/contraption/mechanism which you are trying to decipher, with help from one of your friends. This machine causes Six to malfunction, and then project the conscience of an ancient empress, who is a right bitch. I thought I'd look up online while writing this to see if this was something that I got overly salty about, but no, she is a self-centered, entitled royal bitch. Story 3. Overall, there's a lot of story. This game has been made into a 2-part novel, so there's a hell of a lot of story here. From my memory, the story overall was a bit overwhelming at points. The way I would describe it is uppity. Lots of ancient beings and power restoring the world to its former glory, that kind of thing. Gameplay 3. Interesting. The deciphering gameplay was very different to anything I've played, and I enjoyed it. The sailing mechanics, although very simple and skippable, I found quite relaxing and satisfying. But I can see how this would get annoying and repetitive for some people. And then, finally, design 5. I really like the visuals of this game. The combination of 2D and 3D assets works really well. The lack of animation in certain points has a more storybook feel. I think visually this game is very strong. And that was an 11 out of 15 review from Rosie, the final editor for this.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think you figured that out when I said, I assume Sam has already explained this.
Yeah.
And just the, wait, what?
Yeah. I quite like Tenke, the Empress.
That's fair. Each to their own, I suppose.
I mean, if she got replaced straight away, you wouldn't get to see her better sides.
So, Sam, you have heard your silly reviews.
I have.
Foley, are you ready to hear yours?
Oh, God.
Has Rosie done one for?
Yeah.
No, Rosie did not do one
Rhys
for
has
the
done,
Librarian.
Rhys has done the other one.
No. This review is by Thizralikwa. I assume that's a name that I butchered, so I apologise.
Better.
Apparently this film's from 2004. I may have said 2002 earlier. That's my bad, it's from 2004. Very mid-noughties. This review is called Please, No More Librarians, and it's a 1 out of 10.
Bloody yeah.
Is this the first film?
It is the same film, Librarian Quest for the
No,
Spirit.
is that the first film in the Librarian?
This is the first film of the Librarian.
Seriously, there's like... It's not that bad.
Yeah.
I can see a dark future and I don't want to avert it.
The review is as follows. This is the first time I've regretted watching a movie. In short, the film is totally predictable, with an awful script that makes use of all we've already seen. It's not even about laughable FX, which would probably look the same if I did it myself. It's all about wooden acting, especially the main female character. It seems that the script limited all the actors so much that there was nothing else to do but just be there. Better see Army of Darkness. At least there they don't pretend to be something more than just a nice Sunday morning flick. And that is the review for that one.
Oh, yeah.
That is such an Oscar.
Yeah.
Can I say, I think that one thing they said is just relatable to everyday life. Like, I just had to be there. That is the most painful thing. Can't do nothing but be there.
The next review is by TT Appola.
TT Appola.
This review is titled Scorn.
Okay.
This is a 2 out of 10.
2 out, okay.
This one says, believe the reviews that rate this movie poorly. At first, I did not intend to bother reviewing the movie, but upon seeing the sequel, I kind of had to. I'm gonna stop that voice just so people can actually.
I was compelled.
Yeah. What little money and time they had to spread so wide amongst all aspects of production that absolutely none of them work. The biggest problem, of course, is the script. Had the writer been paid more and given more time, or replaced by a better writer, the script might have made more sense, and more importantly, it might have been more tailored to fit the allocated budget. The result is a movie which is actually painful to watch. Please do not watch this. It is 2 out of 10 crap, no matter how much you try to spin it.
I mean, I don't know what people are expecting from a TV movie, but...
This one's called Maybe I'm Just a Nerd. I personally love this movie. This is by Rainy Black Knight. It was fun. Finally, the movie where a smart guy / nerd is glorified and isn't the villain. It had hilarious moments, and I guess I'm just weird that I like it so much. People take it way too seriously. People, it's not that serious. It's just a good adventure, and the characters are fun and funny. The jokes are laughable, as they are supposed to be. Obviously, these people know what they're doing. Anyway, like I said, maybe I'm just a nerd.
No, to be fair, I agree with that one. It's just a good fun. There's nothing too serious about it.
Okay, and now we've got one final review.
Right.
Worst movie I've been dragged to.
Dragged to?
2 out of 10.
What,
Yeah.
into the living room?
He got dragged to it and then beheaded.
This one, Dandy V. I was attending an Xmas party and the host displayed the movie. I wanted to leave as soon as I saw the title. Quest for the ... Spear? But being a polite guest, I stayed. Big mistake and a huge waste of time. We're back with the classic phrase. From the first shots, the movie looks lame.
Oh, yeah.
The acting is forced, the special effects are crappy, lots of scenes filmed against obvious blue screens, and the plot and dialogue are childish. It's not even interesting, and I really can't think up of reasons to rent this movie. Do you have that much time to waste on your hands?
Yeah.
That was the final review.
He seemed like a happy chap. Yeah.
So, what do you think the link was, guys?
Oh.
Languages. Bird and ancient. Let's go, baby.
Yes, that's one of them.
I
Yeah.
want to say
Yeah.
So you got 2 this time. Ooh.
in each one they have to do something with stones. I don't know.
No, it's
They
languages.
both
And
work for a uni.
no,
Originally.
he doesn't work for a uni.
Nerd
Well,
protagonist.
I was going to say he was. He doesn't work.
he
He's
was-
just studying.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So it's-
But no,
Oh.
it's something a lot more just base and obvious.
Yeah.
It's language,
Robots.
deciphering, and
Artifacts.
is it
Archaeology.
just like
yep.
Nice.
Yeah,
He's not
it's-
an archaeologist.
He
He's
may
a
not be an
librarian.
archaeologist, but it's archaeologist adventure type thing, an Indiana Jones figure. But yeah,
But
that's
you
what the
realise
link
Indiana
was.
Jones,
Yep.
he would hate the librarian because
Yeah.
it belongs in a museum.
not a library.
Yeah, I mean they've both got the Ark of the Covenant. That's where it went after Indiana Jones, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
if you go to speak to Huang at the University of Iox and
Yeah.
show him the artifacts and be like, ask him to help with the inscriptions. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, no, cool. Shall I take that for you and put it in the storage? And you're like, no, I'm not done with it. No, I'm not done with this one either. I noticed that you're not giving any of these up. It's like, yeah, they're important for me.
We'll buy Gecko with them.
I need to buy more
I need to
cacao.
pawn them off and buy a gecko.
I've named it after you. Interesting fact about archaeology.
Yeah.
I failed that at AS level,
Yeah.
Lame.
and I also tried to get Sam to take it with me in the first place.
Did you? I don't
Yeah.
remember
I tried to, and you just went no. And I was like,
that.
He's not lame like you.
Yeah. I didn't actually realise that deciphering languages was an important plot point in both until we got part of the way through. Until until Foley, my bad, started talking about how he had to decipher the language of these bird people, and I was like, oh, that's 2 links now.
Bravo me.
That is the podcast for this time. Thank you for
Yay.
watching.
Thank you for
Listening.
taking part.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you for watching the stupid thing that I had to get you to watch, Foley. And thank you for playing the game that you thought was surprisingly good, Sam.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You can find Foley at his YouTube channel, Dopey Mr. Foley, and Sam at his house, Paradise, Ohio.